Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome. It is time for the final day of PCS3 North America. My name's Toffees, and I'll be guiding us through the games today. I'll be joined shortly by some great binds, but before we do that, let's remind you guys just of how the tournament works, the overview, format, cash, all the good stuff. But let's start with the weekend schedule. Today is our last day of play. In case you've forgotten what the date is, it's the 20th. North America wrapping it up right now, right here. But that's not the end of PUBG. We got APAC and Europe wrapping up their series tomorrow and the day after. So as much PUBG as you can handle. Get your fix, though, because it might be a while till you see us again. Participating teams on the right side, you can see the 16 who will be playing. Where and how will they be playing today, though? Let's take a look at the format. We'll be starting off on Miramar for 2 games, followed by 2 matches of Erangel. Can the Sonics put up big numbers to start? I can't wait to see. Point system is super. 1 kill equals 1 point. First place gets you 10. 6 for 2, all the way down to 9, and then it's a whole lot of nada. That's what makes up the match points. But what do you need the points for? You need the points to make the money, the moolah, the cash, the simoleons. $200,000 in the prize pool, plus 12.5% of in-game sales. I will say the 12.5% is evenly distributed amongst all the teams who are playing. So if you're out there buying skins and you love a team that's not so good, at least know you're supporting them just as much as you're supporting the top dogs. The top dogs do make the big cash, however, at $50,000 for first place, 30 for second, and it goes on down to the consolation prize of $2,000 for 15 and 16. Now, I told you I wasn't going to be alone today. I'd be joined by some of the best and brightest PUBG Esports has to offer. I'm joined by 2 pros who, I don't want to say they're retired. I want to say they transitioned to giving you expert insights. It's Hypoc and Godspeed. Now, gentlemen, before I get you to tell me about yesterday's day of play, I want to tell you about something that's a big deal. It's hidden among the clouds, and it is a mysterious and treacherous plateau of Paramount. Home to untold secrets and a very active volcano. This small-scale map will be a game changer with dynamic lava flows and locations that change every time you drop in. PUBG Season 9 is available now. Hashtag Discover Paramount. Also, if you guys want to see some cool content, check out PUBG Esports on TikTok at pubg.esports.official. Tag hashtag esports for all and PCS3 NA on your PUBG TikTok content, and you can get featured on our next broadcast. Please go there, do a Godspeed cosplay. I really want to see it. It's going to be the dream. Speaking of cosplays, Godspeed, welcome. How are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you today? That's a real
Hey, I
question.
can't complain. You're looking fresh and dapper. I
Hey,
love it.
Hey, you're looking
Hypoc,
fresh.
thank you. Hypoc, how's it going all the way down there on the end? Glad to have you.
Yeah, good to be here. I guess I can catch my breath tonight being on the desk because we had a bit of a thriller last night. To be honest, yeah, I'm glad things shaped up the way they did because we got a race on for the final day.
That's it, though. Nice transition into talk about yesterday. It was good games for teams like Oath. The other 2 teams, particularly Sonics and Gas Cans, Sonics left the door wide open. Godspeed.
Sonics did not play. I think the word "well" is what I'm looking for yesterday. It was not a good day. It was kind of what Poro and I had even been talking about before the cast of them having a travesty day is probably unlikely. I would call yesterday a travesty day for them. They did not really come out with the points that they needed to. Granted, they're still ahead, but I mean, the Gas Cans as well as Oath, who looked immaculate yesterday, are definitely knocking on their door.
I mean, that's the key, Hypoc. Yesterday, the Sonics left the door open, and instead of them kicking it down, the Gas Cans just sort of peeked in, stole a pair of shoes, and ran away.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Obviously, the 18-point day for Sonics, by far their worst day throughout PCS3. And I mean, even if you look at Gas Cans as well, they only picked up 26 yesterday. And considering, day 4 and day 3 of the previous week was like 42 and 64, there was a huge opportunity there. But for me, the storyline is actually Oath closing the gap to now have a 3rd horse in the race. I mean, historically, when we look at it, I've been doing some number crunches. Sonics, of those 3 teams, are historically the worst performing team on the final day of the phase. Whether or not that's going to be a factor this time around is definitely something to consider.
You heard Hypoc talk about the numbers from yesterday and crunching some numbers looking at today. But before we talk about today, let's look back on what actually happened yesterday. It's highlight time.
Oh!
My man.
It's always got to be Spot 2 that does that. But no, I mean, yesterday we had a couple of really good end game scenarios. This obviously was game 1 with Dodge and Oath on Miramar. Massive game from Oath to start things off. But to be honest with you, they looked like they'd gone back to basics, Godsby. I'm not sure if you agree with this, but going back to this kind of roaming as 4 team fighting playstyle, which we know they're just so good at.
Not only did we see a lot of that from Oath, but we also saw some really key instances where like Bale or Snakers would peel off in order to buy time and apply some pressure on some of the other teams while they just recovered from a team fight, which you saw multiple times. And really it comes down to this, by the way, I just have to point this out.
Yeah.
This was
Do you know what? Hats off to Master like for swinging wide twice on that tree and then still winning the 1v2. That was ballsy.
The stones required for that type of play from Marslick was quite impressive. But real quick to go back to Duel, actually, is something we'll talk about later as well as Rumblers. But just to touch back on Oath, for me, it really is an indicator of what you said as well, Puck, that mechanically, I think as a 4-man, they really potentially are the best mechanically sound squad as far as North America goes. I'm not saying they're the best, but they're definitely among the best. Mechanically, they're definitely up there, if not the best. But man, when they play and they're all on top of their game, and we see plays like that from Snakers where they're applying pressure with just a duo, it makes me wonder why, honestly, they're not on the top. You know, why they're chasing in 3rd place.
Yeah, I agree, because I actually think Oath is still a roster that has more to give than what we've seen this year. And it's kind of crazy to talk about. I mean, personally, being a little disappointed, because I think the ceiling for that team is higher than what we've seen, which is insane to consider, you know, with what they've achieved this year.
Yeah.
So you've talked about they may be the best mechanically gifted team. Let's see which is the best team according to the numbers. Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard and see who's in the pole position for the $50,000 first place prize. It is the Sonics at 203. However, the Guadalajara Gas Cans and Oath are within striking distance, one less than 20 and the other just past that. And let's be honest, let's go back to the last game yesterday, Hypoc, where Oath, if they had won that game, would have put up, I think it was 22 points or something in that ballpark. So they would have tied or gotten right up on top of the Sonics if that happens again.
Yeah, I mean, if Oath had won that final game, it would have been the extra 3 kills and then obviously the increase of 4 points. So it actually would have put them above the Gas Cans, which is kind of crazy to consider, because when things started yesterday, it was about a 25-point difference between Sonics and Gas Cans, and then another 25 points between Gas Cans and Oath. Obviously, you know, Gas Cans only really making up 8 points on Sonics, but still, I mean, you've already said it. They left the door open. Unfortunately, Gas Cans weren't able to convert, but Oath making that up is huge. The other thing I was talking about yesterday is just how much movement there is, or possibility for movement the rest of the way through the top 8. Because we're talking about, you know, a difference of $4,000 between some of these positions. And I saw some tweets last night, Shoot to Kill, saying, how the hell are we 6th? Like, what the hell is everyone doing? We got 26 placement points, 95 kill points, and we're still in 6th. So, you know, for me, I do think Shoot to Kill are going to come in today, just balls to the wall, and potentially jump some spots.
Godspeed.
I wouldn't be surprised if STK. I mean, look, I said earlier when STK was you know, doing much worse and they finally started to pick it up, that I still believe that they were going to come out and at the very least in the final week make something happen. And it seems like they are starting to make that happen. Obviously, being the last day, I agree with Pac. I think they're gonna just basically throw caution to the wind and just go for it the way they did when they won their first PCS title. So we'll have to see, but I wouldn't count STK out at all.
All right, let's talk about some featured teams. Mine, I usually do the standout, and I got to give it to Oath. Off of yesterday, not just yesterday, but also day 4. This is a team that on day 1, they put up 40 points. They had a terrible day 2 at 21, but since then it's been an upward trajectory. 26 on day 3, 46 on day 4, 47 on day 5. And if that trend continues, I can see Oath challenging, potentially, even the Sonics for the top spot, but definitely making the Gas Cans consider many of the life choices they've made in this tournament so far. Godspeed, let's go to you. I want to hear about your underdog.
It wouldn't really seem like the team I've chosen are the underdogs, but it is the Gas Cans. To be completely honest, yeah, they're in 2nd place, and they've had a phenomenal grand final so far. I don't think anyone can deny that. That being said, they're still the underdogs because we've never really seen them close anything out, because quite frankly, this is the first time they've ever been in a grand final situation together as a team. So I'm really impressed with these guys. I wouldn't be completely surprised if they actually were able to take the top spot from Sonics, or let's say Oath, if they even make it that far. But for me, watching these guys kind of come through this entire year and be able to accomplish this so far in the last grand finals has been it's been great. I really love watching these guys play.
All right, now let's go to Hypoc. I want to hear about your surprise team.
So my surprise team today is going to be Duel. This is a team, I guess, a team name I have probably been guilty of being the harshest on all year, just in terms of, it's a personal favorite of mine. Obviously, any roster that Woolly's on, I'm always rooting for. But this time around, obviously with the roster change, it's kind of night and day for me. We haven't seen them kind of bumbling, struggling through early game to mid game transitions. They've looked much better in rotations, but it is still a surprise to see them knocking on the door of kind of closing out in top 4. If we look back at the performances over this year, again, roster changes aside, this team's kind of come full circle for me, because this is a fan favorite. I mean, you know, Cherry and Woolly, they're known grinders, and with Penta and Lynxy coming back in to rejoin the ranks, I guess, you know, there are some iterations of these guys that have played before on the old Simplicity roster and whatnot. It's just been really fantastic to see. So a positive surprise.
Well, I want to also mention, you pointed this out earlier, and it's a tweet by Woolly today, an hour ago, that he said, "The climb to first looks easier than ever. Thanks for holding our spots, Sonics. We'll take it from here." I assume that he made that among his friends, but now we've put it out there to the rest of the public. So we'll see what you got, Woolly. Let's go to my favorite part of the show. Say what?
I was going to say, I actually DM'd him. I said, look, if you win tonight, I will give you $100 before the night is over. So I want to see it. I want to see it. I said at the start of PCS3, I wanted to see a different team close PCS3 out as a winner. I didn't want to see a back-to-back.
That's really going to drive him. It's not the increase of $30,000 he'd make from getting to first.
It's the $100. It's the 100%.
Because it's from Hypoc. That's what makes it valuable. That's what makes it valuable. You'll even sign it for him. All right, let's go to my favorite part of the show, predictions, because I like to see what's on y'all's mind. I'm going to go with mine first. It's Oath. I've been riding this pony since day 1 of the finals. I was a little more worried about it yesterday than I am today. I think Oath actually has a good shot if they play like they did yesterday and the Sonics and the Gas Cans continue to sort of putt around, that they could pull this off. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm taking the Oath. Godspeed. What's your pick?
I think Oath is a great pick. However, it's not mine. I'm going with the Sonics. I mean, this is the team that I predicted before Grand Finals started to win, and I'm sticking to my guns. I think that'd be foolish, especially the fact that they're in first. Yeah, they had a bad day yesterday, but I have faith. I think they'll close it out, and they'll be the first 2-time champions.
Hypoc?
Yeah, my prediction today is Sonics as well. As soon as SDK closed out the group stage, I knew that Sonics mindset of switching up from group stage to grand final was going to be a factor. I mean, the one for me is that Sonics, you know, historically always have a much worse day out of their entire grand final stage. They've had that. I think now they're going to come away from that, shrug that off. They're going to bring their A game for the final day.
You know what I like? I like that Hypoc picked Sonics and they gave us like a deep dive into their strategy. And Godspeed picked Sonics and went, who I've picked since day 1. Just, you know, a little bit of a show off there. I respect it. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your insights. But you know what? I've got the word. It is time for us to kick off the first game of the final day of PCS3. Let's head over to the dynamic duo, the Kings, who will be bringing you the cast. It is Porosaurus and Matrim with game number 1.
Thank you so much, Toffees. All right, here we go. So we've been building up to this moment for quite a while now, Poro. We got a lot of breakdowns from the desk about the fact that it's been sometimes a little bit rough for some of these teams on their last day. Do you feel that that's kind of the theme? Who can clutch this up in the last minute?
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing, right? And I'm glad Hypoc brought up that Sonics traditionally on the final days, they have one of those games. And usually it's on the last day. But one thing that he didn't mention yet, and I hope I'm not stepping on his toes by saying this, you know who really does have good games on the final days historically? Gas Cans and Oath.
Ooh. I mean, I'm kind of riding on the Gas Cans bandwagon right now. I always love to see new blood come in. Sure, they're not necessarily new blood altogether, but we've seen these players across a lot of different teams for quite a while now. I really like how they've gelled together. And I mean, we used to think that this was kind of Sonics, and they were just kind of running away with it. But slowly and steadily, that lead has eroded to where today could be the defining rounds to decide who wins this.
And you know, how can you not just, as a fan of PUBG, competitive PUBG, how can you not appreciate the Gas Cans play style and how they play and how they approach the game and just what they've been able to accomplish here in such a short time with, you know, going back to the beginning of PCS3 group stages, they brought on 2 new players. You know, it's not really been that long since, you know, Honey Badger and Voxic, you know, obviously leaving 303, bringing on Oldless and Nikos. Oldless found his groove very quickly towards the middle round parts of the group stages. Nikos now basically on track with everybody else. So, you know, I said this yesterday. I was expecting Honey Badger and the Gas Cans to do great things. They're just popping off way faster than I thought that they would.
Well, they're also kind of creating their own independent meta. Whenever we look at how Gas Cans plays towards the later stages of the game, it's very different than a lot of the other teams. A lot more aggressive and in your face. We usually see like a more defensive firing line kind of setup. That's what we've seen from teams like Sonics, Shoot to Kill, Oath to a certain degree as well. Oath a little bit more on the aggressive side of that. But now as we're looking, we got the overall leaderboard that's pretty close now. And again, a lot of that due to the work that Oath put in yesterday. Or do you think that they're going to be able to continue their trend moving into today of just carrying over that momentum that they were just building up slowly and steadily more and more throughout yesterday's matches?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the door is open for Oath to really kind of get some things accomplished here. If you go back to yesterday and you even look at the individual games, as I try to pull that up, they actually had a good performance on both maps, right? It wasn't just great stuff on Miramar, stuff on Erangel, as we see that nice northeastern circle. I know you love it, but yeah, they got a 27-point win on Miramar to start things off. They also got the second place 10 kill finish on Erangel on the final match of the day. So they're finding success across both maps, which is a good indicator if you're going into this final game, if you're trying to get more and more points.
Well, good indicators abound if you were a northeastern team this time around. Oath inside the circle, but back over next to Picado, where we were looking at Sonics just a second ago. Picado itself not inside the circle. So whenever we look at this, really it's going to be Zenith, maybe T8 that are in good positions. One Eye is way up towards the north and do have some control that they can maybe take based off of that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them move their way back down south. And I know, at this point, if you've been watching PUBG for a long time, guys, you get tired of hearing me say it, but this is the type of circle I want. When we're looking at the last couple of matches, I don't want center circles. I want to see teams overcome insurmountable odds consistently and prove that they're the best. So hard shifting circles like this off of the first circle, maybe even the second one, will give us an idea on how these teams approach it and prove that they need to walk away today as the winners without a shadow of a doubt.
I want to definitely keep eyes on Sonics in this circle. This is a circle that they've historically had some issues with in the early games sometimes, just because they like to leave Picado early, obviously, and head up that road, kind of leading towards Hacienda, towards STK. Now, if STK gets out of there quickly enough, which it looks like they should, looks like Sonics should avoid STK, but we've also seen times where Veritas has come down early and kind of caught out Sonics in that little compound just on the road, just south of Hacienda. They often stop there to do a little bit of scouting, and they might run into some fire from Oath, some fire from Veritas. It really just depends. So keep your eye on Sonic, see how quickly they get out of there. And I got to be honest, we're 3.5 minutes in already, and they haven't left yet. I'm a little bit nervous for them.
Well, that always kind of is Sonic's motto. They have no fear in taking fights. The issue comes into play with a circle like this. Sometimes you have to go through the gauntlet. You have to go through several different teams that might get in position ahead of you. So with this, you can see a couple of teams like Shoot to Kill who are already inside the circle, making their way back over towards the east. Everybody knows they drop down back over next to Hacienda, but they are encroaching back over into the direction of where T8 is at. T8 doesn't really have a controlled vector point that they're kind of playing off of right now. And instead, it looks like Shoot to Kill should quite easily, well, depending on how the driving goes, quite easily get into position on where they're wanting to set up position at. The thing that they need to be careful of is T8 is approaching from the other side, as well as Zenith from that high ground positioning. It looks like Lush might be making his way back over. I don't know if he's gotten vision on where Alo's at, and this is going to be a quick spray and pickup, making First Blood go over to Shoot to Kill.
Easy peasy, and that's all 100% having to do with the fact that STK got their looting done quickly and started their rotation early. They didn't hang out in those warehouses just to the south of Hacienda like they usually do, trying to see if they can spot out Veritas or Sonics. This time, they instead focused primarily on their own rotation, getting into that 2-2 split in that canyon very, very early. Because of that, free kill from T8.
A lot of teams now making their way back over towards the east. You can see Sonic's just going to go ahead and cut a lot right along the crater area. We got Bandita just over towards their direction. But we also have a couple other teams that are making their way back over towards the east. Notably, where we were just looking at a second ago, you can see that One Eye Open has also been making their way back down from the northern position to encroach back over next to T8. But really, and whenever you see the circle a lot, people like to go next to that road over next to Impala and just kind of make their way up towards the north. It's a fairly safe path, as not a lot of people kind of move into those positions too early at this stage. Now, that being said, we have Illusion, Gas Cans now finally starting to make their move, Hard Shifts, Fabled, and Dodge, who still haven't really even started the moving process to make their way over towards Circle. Rumblers are, but it should be noted, one of the members from Rumblers, Gaxi, is very separated away from the rest of his team.
Yeah, maybe taking a long way around over towards Los Higos. Not sure what happened there, but wanted to point out that Sonics did not take that normal rotation that they usually do up to Hacienda. Instead, they take a little bit longer to get their looting done. They head over towards La Bandita, taking a more southerly route and, avoiding some of the early action that they've seen in the past on circles like this. So they now find themselves inside circle, but maybe a little bit south of center from where they normally play. So this is going to be interesting seeing how they approach the rest of this game now that they have Oath and Zenith and all these other teams kind of off to their north here.
The hillside to the west of Azahar looks like it's starting to be a little bit more contested as we go. You can see the Veritas making their way over here. We've got Shoot to Kill that was playing the low ground. We saw them position earlier. Should be noted, Shoot to Kill is also running a 2-2 split from that position right now. One closer towards Azahar and then one closer towards the other side of the road to give a little bit more control over those positionings. Meanwhile, Veritas, you can see playing the hillside up towards the northern position from that, looking back over towards ATC that they might have to contend with. On the other side of these positions is where we're looking at Oath. Remember the fact that Zenith is going to be back over towards their eastern position, but one of the duos from Shoot to Kill is just going to be a little bit over towards the north.
Yeah, the good thing about that SDK 2-2 split, though, is it's extremely safe. Like, they are in the middle of the center, dead center of the center. They're in a valley where everybody to their north and south is kind of overlooking them. But for their part, they can kind of sit here and chill for the longest time. I mean, they're just vibing right now. They have nothing really to worry about. Nobody's going to push down into that at this point. So we'll have to see what happens as far as Oath and Zenith goes. They are a little bit close. Duel, meanwhile, have made their way in on this eastern side, east of El Azahar. They are pretty much by themselves right now, but we have seen them get some company joining them from the south, and it looks like that may be where Dodge comes from, so I'll have to keep an eye out there.
Comets is also relatively close to position, but instead of going way up further towards the northeast, instead opting into kind of the Badlands area that's south of Azahar. Azahar, you guys know, whenever you're playing this, there's a lot of very just awkward positionals that kind of come into play as you're looking through here. Specifically, the terrain is very hilly, for lack of a better term. There's a lot of little trenches that kind of make up different paths that you can move through. Gas Cans, though, getting a little bit more aggressive. Remember, they were one of the later teams that came into this, so don't have a lot of information to work with just yet, but are starting to encroach back along the line where we can see Veritas setting up their defensive positioning at.
That's the thing, isn't it? I think they are fully aware that Veritas is in there. I think they're trying to figure out if they've got a guy singled out in Michael inside that compound, and it may have actually figured this out. You can see Honey Badger going for the long flank. He's still looking over there, seeing what he can spot out. And it looks like the rest of the boys are going to start making their way in. And you can see Michael all by himself. Keenan and Jazza on the other side of the road haven't even kind of looked over in this direction just yet. So we'll see if Michael gets spotted out. He does, and he goes down immediately. Good shooting by Voxic.
That was an easy pickup based off of positioning. You can see just completely unaware, but retaliation shot's going to come out from Jazza at range. Gets dropped back over towards Nikos, but Nikos should be able to get rezzed. You see the Gas Can's playing this a little bit more controlled. They don't want to go too aggressive yet. They don't know where all the members of Veritas are. But being shot down from that very far angle and seeing that inside the kill feed, they're going to be aware that it's a little bit more separated out. And a hard northern shift going to go ahead and kick this off. These teams that are playing back along the position that we're at right now. Shoot to Kill. Look at that. That 2-2 split we were talking about beforehand just barely being in position. That means teams like Oath, Rumblers, Sonics. We have Hard Shifts and Comets all going to have to make the move, as well as Dodge back over towards their eastern position. A lot of teams are very quickly hopping into vehicles, The problem is most of these teams are just cutting directly north and are going to hit a firm defensive line. Nobody's really opting into circling around and trying to take up next to Tierra Bronca.
It looks like T8 going to try to send it already. They're already getting shot at from one eye, as you said, though. Everybody coming in from the south side, except for Illusion, making that long wrap around to the north. Now, we have seen circles and kind of around this area, this Tierra Bronca Cruz de Valle area before, but not necessarily this far to the south and this far to the east. So we'll see where these teams decide to post up. But I tell you who does usually do well in circles like this is Duel and Oath. And Sonics has also made it to the late game playing here in the past as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on all of them because they are all coming in from this southern edge and they're already starting to run into each other.
Sonics opted into playing just right along the edge. Don't want to overextend. Just so you guys are aware, we do have a position right next to Campo Militar that is in position. Rumbler's now taking a couple of... going to go ahead and lose Los inside of rotation right now. Got ATC that's kind of holding down next to Crudaval. But really the eastern corridor is getting very packed. When we look at the map for a second, there are a lot of teams that went ahead and hit that coastal road and are using that as an opportunity to try to cut a path up into position. The problem is there are a ton of teams opting into a similar strategy, so we'll have to see if they start bumping into each other. Rumblers now continuing their trek back over towards the north. Not a lot of teams to really contend with, just really Illusion that's back over towards the northwest of their position. You can see a couple of shots now coming back over towards Waldo. But this is a very, I guess, segmented section of the map. It is very far towards the north. Everybody else is still clinging towards center position right now, just hoping the fact that maybe they won't see another hard shift location and have to rotate yet again. Meanwhile, a couple other teams just kind of forced into edge location based off of so many teams having vision on the edges of the circle.
As you said, a lot of teams starting to run into each other on the eastern corridor. This is going to be the first. Comets and Dodge, and to an extent, Duel now as well, all right on top of each other. Meanwhile, Oath coming up over the top of STK. STK has that compound, so they should remain safe for the time being. I doubt Oath is going to want to push into it at this point when they can just kind of take this high ground position overlooking it. But they might creep down there, and if they get a couple of knocks here, they might actually push. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
ATC crest up over the hillside there. Marslek trying to get a little bit more vision. Did spot out one of the members for VTS. Take them down with a quick flush as well. Pretty close towards center location, though. Veritas has to be a little bit more cautious. There's a couple more teams who might start encroaching on angles to try to start playing around with positioning. Any trolls in chat know the fact that they do have a good position to play from, but they have to be a little bit more cautious as a couple more teams are starting to make approaches from different angles back behind them, most notably Gas Cans and One Eye Open, potentially finding an angle. But this is what I wanted to look at. We got the Hardships and Fable fight right along the edge in the southeastern area.
Hardships opened it up with a knock on the rip, but immediately traded back as Haxetti ran over Luke in the middle of the street. And you can see the Hardships have a nice little split here, but Hella is in the process of getting a hella good flank on top of Hardships here, but it looks like they've been spotted out.
Oh, the zone's coming in right back behind them. Ship's going to go back down towards the south. So those that are favoring towards the center are going to have a little bit to work with. You can see that Duel and Sonics are starting to bump into each other. Hardships now find themselves not inside the safe zone with Fable trying to find some type of approach. Quick shots coming out from both sides of this as Lobes is going to get a little bit of an angle back over towards Haxetti. But Chuba's gone down as well. Rip just walks right up the hillside, takes down Lobes. Jasenk now finding himself in a very difficult position, trying to figure out if he needs to firmly retreat, take a defensive point, or maybe just entirely leave this position. He knows he's not inside the safe zone, so it looks like he's trying to get as much space, using the longhouse to try to buy more distance and a safe corridor to try to get away from this, and maybe making his eyes back over towards another vehicle. Meanwhile, on the other side of this, you can see it's going to be Duel posting up right next to Sonics. And a little bit of an angle coming through. Molotov's going to come out, force Wooly to reposition. Pentalol goes down, and this is turning up to be Sonics very quickly. 2 downs and a flush. Just absolutely decimate the other side with Duel, who have to be extremely careful. Now just playing along the hillside. They only have 2 members up and available, and Sonics knows exactly where they are.
Duel a little bit split up when they was trying to get as much information as they can. You can see the terrain that they're working with. They were trying to take high grounds on all these hills, see whatever was coming, but they missed the 4-man squad of Sonics hard crashing onto them. Now you can see H-Win still in a little bit of difficulty off to the south, very, very low, but he should be able to get himself healed back up again and get back in. We'll just have to see if Linksy has spotted him out. Meanwhile, Illusion, having come in from that northern side, they're running through Rumblers. Looks like they're right between some of the members of Rumblers and coming up on Veritas here. Veritas will also have lost 2 early during this rotation process, so it's just down to Jazz and D-Treats for them.
Looks like finally getting a touch of separation. You can see that Rip's still playing back along that area, seeing maybe he can spot out the last remaining member of Hardships. But wouldn't be surprised if we see Fable just kind of creep forward, get into position.
J-Sank actually got the res onto Chuba, so Hardshift's back up to 2. I'm amazed that J-Sank was able to pull that off, considering all of Fabled was looking for him.
Well, we've seen a little bit with this bouncing circle going north and then back down south, that the yo-yo effect is kind of stretched some of these players a little bit thin. Whenever we're going back down near Azahar, where we were looking at just a second ago, a lot of teams now back over towards the Crew de Voltaire Bronco location. That's where we're seeing a lot of the fighting. So Fabled kind of creeping in this last second, not going to be too punished. They are taking a couple of shots back over towards the north at Comets, and the remnants of Duel, who are pretty close to this location as well. Meanwhile, Rumbler's getting into a little bit of a skirmish with Illusion. Quick pickup coming out of that one, having to step back down the hillside. Top Dog retreating from position. It looks like Icy Flex might be flanking back around this, but look at the positioning starting to come out. Both teams stretching out of the safe zone, very aware of the fact that they could be encroached upon, but the blue is coming in back behind them. But Koi looks back over towards the wrong angle and gets dropped. Now it's just going to be Gaxi and Waldo. Waldo now forced to run outside the blue, and Gaxi's coming up back behind this. Remember, these guys were very separated at the start of the game, so it looks like Gaxi was just trying to encroach back over behind this. Luckily, the new circle does pop pretty close to location, but Gaxi's going to have to use the hillside to try to regroup back over next to Waldo, and Rumblers have already lost 2 of their members and are in a very dangerous position right now.
Well, we'll see what Waldo can pull off here. I'm not sure why Gaxi was so spread out from everybody else and for so long, too. Looks like he will get into the zone just in time before he gets knocked to the blue. Waldo will finish off Woe, and that's going to be Illusion down to 2. But this new circle has popped, and boy, this southwestern side of the circle is about to get real interesting. You've got Oath, SDK, and Gas Cans that are all going to be fighting for the same position.
Well, we kept talking about the yo-yo effect of the circles, and this one continues that process there. A couple of teams that are in good position. You can see that it's going to be shoot to kill. That's kind of keeping an eye back over towards Oath. Guadalajara Gas Cans only at 1 kill. Kind of odd for them. You tend to see them be a little bit more aggressive at the earlier stages, but it looks like they're coming in with a little bit more patience this time around. Now, should be noted that Oath looks like they're trying to cut a little bit further of a northeastern advance through this, trying to just get around where we can see shoot to kill playing. So if they move fast enough, they might be able to avoid Gas Cans who are coming in on foot, and it looks like that's just narrowly going to happen as the rest of Oath do hop inside of a vehicle and make a chance to try to regroup with Relo's positioning.
Looks like they'll get away with it as well. Now, Gas Cans, you can still see on vehicles. SDK has heard the sounds of those V8s stretching over the top. So they have not tried to leave their compound just yet, which is kind of interesting. I mean, it's a compound on the very, very edge, so you would assume that SDK would want to go somewhere else, but playing it safe for the time being. You can see in the kill feed now, Rumblers also, Waldo finding something here while we check in on ATC, who's got to make their way in, but they've got to make their way in past One Eye. And, well, I guess the last member of Veritas here, D-Treats.
It's getting a little bit messy back over towards the north and the northwest specifically. You can see that One Eye open. We have ATC that are starting to clash right along the edge. Do note the fact that Zenith also has the capabilities to kind of look back over this direction, take a couple of pot shots. Only 1 member, like you were talking about, for Veritas up. Well, let's change that. No members up for Veritas, as they are going to go down in 16th positioning. But we still have Rumblers that are alive with their 2, harassing a lot of what is happening around this position. ATC coming in a little bit slower, more methodical in position. You can see One Eye open, very caught up in watching what's happening around them. They keep hearing this firefights, but it doesn't look like they managed to get a lot of position due to where we can see Zenith playing from. Meanwhile, Guadalajara Gas Can starting to stretch back over towards the north. Not too much further to go, but you can see that most of the circle is going to be north of Azahar. This is kind of an uncommon location. Usually when we're looking around Azahar, it's back over towards the west, back down towards the south. This has got a lot of open terrain inside of it, and specifically high ground advantage points, where we're also going to be looking at a lot of fields play coming in. Whenever we look at Miramar, high ground combinations with low ground minimal defenses is usually a bloodbath waiting to happen.
Yeah, this is not a great spot for Gascade. It's not a great spot for anybody, really. Oath isn't even that much better off. Now, Fabled, if they decide to stretch out on this and start looking around, they might be able to get good angles on both of these teams if they can do so. Actually, I mean, that ridgeline is, boy, that's a ridgeline right there, isn't it? Oldless gonna try to provide a little bit of support for the Murano there. That's not going to happen, though. Unfortunately, they're losing that car pretty easily. Now, STK, though, you always have to remember, is still at the top of that hill just off to the west. And it looks like they were thinking about creeping up over the top of Gas Cans, but got sent back by a combination of Fabled and Oath. And look at that. At least they're getting circle. Holy moly, what a shift.
Well, Oath, you've got pretty good positioning, and you had to buy it through some aggressive movements, and you're going to get away with it. But Sonic's also holding down the position back over towards the east. Fabled, slowly creeping in, still contending around next to J-Sync. You can see still holding down next to Azahar itself. But Fabled running an aggressive split along that hillside. Now the Yo-Yo flips back down towards the south, and these teams over in the north are going to have to figure out some way to make this work. Oh, that is bad. Reload goes down, trying to creep up and get a little bit more information, and is a combination of shots raining back over towards his positioning. Oath is now being forced to play down inside of this low positioning that they're trying to cling to, and they know that this is a problem, that the longer they stay here, they're going to find themselves with too many angles that are just undefensible. That hillside back behind them giving them a lot of worry. Shoot to kill, feeling a similar problem, going to go ahead and start to send their way right up along the north. But the problem is, you're going to see one eye open coming up back behind him at the exact same time Zenith is making their move. Everybody just jumps out of the car, starting to spray back over towards Zenith, but doesn't get a lot of damage off onto them. It's going to be ATC that's playing the hillside back behind this. As ATC starts to crest up back behind this, they're going to have great vision back into that low ground point that Shoot to Kill is playing from. Zenith also did manage to get a little bit of a foothold back over towards this top, but we can see that it's going to be T8 that's starting to make an aggressive play back over towards Zenith positioning as well. This is starting to turn very problematic for these teams that moved a little bit early and started to bump into each other, as there are just too many angles to try to contend with. And now you can see Shoot to Kill just kind of suffering from that. They don't know where to go. They've got smokes down, but they know they're in a little bit of a dip with near on no cover other than a tree and a couple of vehicles stacked up right next to each other.
Now, while all of this is going on, when we can look at the leaderboard and things that are concerning it, obviously the most important thing, okay, Comet's going to go down to Dodge there as they finally get polished off. Adam, the last one remaining, though. But Sonics has just been absolutely vibing in this compound all by themselves. Only 2 kills, nobody really around them, but they're still 4 up heading into this the later part of the mid game here. And they have not had to deal with nearly as much nonsense as all these other teams. They haven't had to do with much rotation. So things going fantastic for Sonics here so far.
The geometry and the math pays off for them, but other teams kind of suffering from the way that the circles have been shifting right now. ATC do have themselves a hillside that they can kind of look at, but they know that they're probably going to have to move soon. They're trying to see if maybe they can get a little bit more harassment based off of it, using a little bit of lips that are coming out from the top of this hillside to see if they can get some damage off.
There it is.
They do have clean angles back over towards Shoot to Kill, going to go ahead and get Civ down from this. But Marsalek, if he plays a little bit down closer, maybe back down towards that tree, he might be able to get up in throwable range. Exactly what I was expecting to see out. Throw does come through. I don't know if the angle is good, but it does connect back over towards Purdy Curdy right as soon as they get the res off. Marsalek now knows that he's got the range and the angle to work with, and Shoot to Kill are in a little bit of trouble. The only bright side onto this is it's going to be T8 that is swooping in back behind ATC from this moment, trying to take a couple of shots back over towards him, and it's going to pull everybody that was looking back over towards Shoot to Kill back on this other angle, but it's going to be a quick feast coming up for ATC as T8 severely regrets making that move over.
I mean, I see what I get what the thought was. They got the opening down. Steezy had the bike, decided to send it to try to maybe get the flush and win the 1v1, but in the end, he just doesn't win it. And now Weem just trying to stay alive through the smoke. And like you said, that's going to do great things for STK. They're able to get all their reses back up. ATC still has that high ground to work with, but you can see the circle has popped, and they're going to have to move here eventually. But I mean, pretty much everybody here is going to have to move here eventually, right? STK, Zenith, T8, all still outside of this.
SDK is right on the edge of it. They might be able to use a little bit of their hillside, but that would put them terribly close to Zenith, which is what they're trying to avoid at the time. The real problem comes into ATC's movements. They really wanted to remove Shoot to Kill from a position so that way they'd have a clear rotation point from this. North is seeing if maybe he can connect onto it. Aguila making a little bit more of an aggressive play, trying to get the vehicle back down the hillside. Grenades are going to connect with a little bit of damage, but it's going to be Civ that comes up with a big shot back over towards Marsalek to buy a little bit more time. Aguila did take damage in his rotation. While he did get to a position to try to assist his team, he still needs to make his way up the hillside, and Shoot to Kill knows exactly where he is. Can he get any work put out from this point, or is Zenith going to continue to rein in and make any trolls and chats day just more and more problematic? Aguila can't quite seem to find the angle to work with. Molotov's now starting to be thrown out, buying a little bit more time and space for Shoot to Kill, because they know that the longer they can hold out here means the fact that the blue is going to create more and more harassment back over towards ATC. Aguila trying to make his way up the hillside, trying to find the angle, finally managed to step back over towards it. A little bit of assistance going to be coming out from Sharpshot as he does get taken back over towards Uncivil, but really it's just about trying to create the distraction, but it's not going to be enough. ATC just has to make a mad dash across the side of it, repositioning right over next to where Aguila was at, but he gets flushed out. Sharpshot goes down, going to go ahead and die towards the blue, but can they at least get vengeance back over towards this, throwing down a ton of throwables back that direction. Shoot to Kill goes down in a blaze of glory.
Balefrost picks up 2 kills off of that. Is Oath now finally getting involved, and they're going to come up over the top. See Norcus by himself. Perfect time to strike for Oath right there. And you also, at the end of the day, you had William, who was the unofficial 5th member of ATC, keeping them alive and wiping Zenith, while Zenith was absolutely destroying them on the other side. So Oath managing to come up in a big-time clutch here, but keep in mind, Gas Cans still 4 up. Sonics still 4 up. Sonics have 3 kills now. They still have that compound. As we get to the late game, our top 7, 16 alive. A lot of snakes out there, Matrim.
Also, that reposition from Oath bought distance away from Gas Cans.
Oh,
New Circle's going to pop, favor back over towards Sonic's positioning, as well as the last 2 members for the Rumblers, and the last member, I believe, for Fabled right now, but it looks like that's not going to be too long, as Gas Cans running right along that point. It's just going to be a matter of spotting out the rat, and they do. Hexetti goes down, repositioning us back over towards 6 teams alive. Gas Cans should be fairly aware of how Oath repositioned just a second ago, and looked like they might be kind of setting up defenses based off of that. We talked about earlier the high ground versus low ground advantages. Gas Cans is going to have a beautiful positioning if they can manage to keep their numbers up from this point. The big problem that they have to contest with is the fact that Sonics are going to have vision on this point, as well as Oath shooting back up from that low ground position on the other angle. So it's just a matter of seeing if the fact that Gas Cans can survive the onslaught that's slowly coming their way. Oath now starting to reposition, hop inside of vehicles. Which direction are they going to opt into going to becomes the big question. Are they going to choose to contest back over towards Gas Cans, or just try to send it back along a similar path, maybe get to some safety? Looks like they're going to choose a little bit of both, as Balefrost does manage to find a way to get his vehicle into position. A couple of shots going to ring out, but not connect just quite enough. Finally, Pat Caps goes down, but there's an exchange as Nico goes down as well.
What a shot coming out from these two. It is an absolute clinic in gun mechanics right now. It's down to just snakers, though, as T8 William has come from behind, and he is just snaking everybody. William, being the snake of the day for Tactical 8 here, will make his team into the top 5, get him a couple more kills, but now it's down to the top 4. Gas Cans versus Sonics. It's got to be, it had to be, Matrim. It had to be this way, didn't it?
It's slowly encroaching up on that leaderboard as well. We've got a couple of remnants that are kind of hanging out, but this becomes the problem. You can see Gas Cans have been a lot more active inside of a lot of fights. Their helmets, their armor, doing a little bit more rough from positioning. Meanwhile, Sonics have been in a fairly safe conditional position for quite a while now. Going to have to be curious to see how they're sitting on their overall armor for this last late game fight. Illusion is kind of caught in between them, and let's not forget about Rumblers hanging out off into a position as well. That does kind of have a little bit of a backstab position that they can take back over towards Sonics at the time. Sonics know the greatest threat that they face right now is going to be the positioning from Gas Cans, who are slowly starting to move back along this hillside, trying to get a little bit more information and better firing angles to work with. Depending on how we see this next circle shift, that's going to dictate a lot of the combat and how it breaks down. And it does shift away from Sonic's positioning. The high ground advantage for Gas Cans is going to be very beneficial from this. They just have to be careful to not overpeak.
This is huge. What they need more than anything right now is to not give up any cheap downs here for Gas Can. They do not want to open that door for Sonics to be able to just drop a whole bunch of smokes out there and make their way out. Well, one player is down and the other two, or another one might be going for a res. That's the last thing Gas Cans need right now, and I think they know it. You can see them sprinting to get in all types of different positions here. Every line of sight that they can get, they want here. But this is going to be really, really tough for the Sonics to try to make their way out of this. Well, I'm really curious to see how they try to do it here.
Yeah, they're going to have to contest with Gas Cans, but either way they go, they're also going to have to contend with the remnants of the other two teams that are still alive. Sure, that's only a solo apiece for Rumblers and Illusion, but they still have firing angles on what's going to have to be a mobile Sonics. Now, let's note, there is a little bit of the building that I believe that Shrimzy's in play right now that is inside of Circle, but I don't think that they're going to opt to just cluster down inside of that one complex, because that surrenders too much control of the Circle back over towards Gas Can. See that our solo did get spotted out. Going to go ahead and drop down the Rumblers. Now Illusion's top dog, the last one up, other than the stack teams that we can see that are the 4v4 fight that's just waiting to break out.
I mean, the Sonics' best play, it really feels like, is playing this ridge line right where Top Dog is. But I mean, it kind of
the motorcycle.
What
we got going on?
Really a whole lot they can do unless they can charge and get right up underneath Gas Cans right here. That's maybe the only other better position, but that's going to be a really long stretch here. We'll see how many smokes they've got in the bag.
How much information does Sonics have? Do they know that the last member for Illusion is hiding from that point? They keep looking back over to where he's at. With this, you can see H1 trying to buy a little bit more time and distraction for his team. But Top Dog's going to start hearing the firefight, be in close range position. Is he going to try to go for some type of play off of it? Shrimzy looking back over towards the gas cans right now, trying to see if he can connect with a headshot. You can see the fact that their armor, their ammo, everything in good position, and they're trying to use those tools towards their advantage. Mine being a little bit more aggressive, stepping right up into the face of gas cans. This is a play taken straight out of gas can's own book. Move aggressively into him, be distracting, start throwing down things. H1 connects onto Oldless. This could start to be a little bit more of a problem for gas cans. They're going to have to opt into choosing if they want to go for this res. Nikos does connect. Run back over towards it, seeing if he's going to go for this res, but Shrimzy's still looking back down the hillside. Neither one wanting to move too aggressive just quite yet. Gas cans know that they have the high ground, and they want to try to abuse this, but slowly and steadily, they're starting to get more control, starting to come through. A little bit of a reposition coming out. Badger back down the low side. Top Dog looks like he's starting to get a little bit more mobile as well. Sonics could find themselves in a pincered position before they know it. Toxic is going to go ahead and get the last touches over to H1, who's been down for quite a while. But a couple of now tap shots going back and forth as this peak hillside is the key factor for it. You can see Shrimzy's trying to find the angle to work with, but it's just a constant peak battle back and forth. Nobody managing to quite get the advantage just yet. Each team kind of stacking slowly and steadily, becoming a cluster up on top of each other, while slowly and steadily Top Dog just creeps in right back behind the Sonics. Finally, Tiggleton goes for his play, but doesn't go down, managing to make it to the hillside.
Still had a frag grenade in his hand, too. It's not going to find anything. But now Top Dog will strike. He's going to find Nico's trying to cover the low ground. It's a 3v3. Shrimzy and Oldless trade back. It's a 2v2v1, Matcham.
Top Dog made the play back over towards gas cans instead. It's going to be Voxic, the last one up, with a smidgen of life finally going down. Top Dog creeps back along the hillside. Sonic's in a little bit of trouble right now if he chooses to make a more aggressive play. Does peek back over, revealing his position. Looks back down towards Mime, takes a face full of bullets, back down to 11 life, seeing if maybe he can get some meds, some type of tools to work with. It looks like he's got near on nothing left. Mime moving more aggressive for positioning, has to be very careful based off of it. The blue right back behind him, goes for the spray, connects, tries to go for the spin back around, but it is not going to work. Sonics coming back from yesterday, walking away with this first round victory and 7 kills.
What a finish there. The Snakes making such a huge impact. It started off with Tactical 8 Weem being a huge influence on the ATC and STK fight. And then who would have thought Top Dog managing to make his way all the way to the very end. And he was the factor. I think he ended up getting 2 kills.
I was not expecting that. Yeah, he got 2 downs on them. That was the pivotal play inside of it. We often talk about how the solos can just absolutely turn a fight. But he was just watching Sonics for so long, I guess he felt the better option was to aggress against what he didn't know. And boy, he just absolutely demolished gas cans from that angle.
Look, at the end of the day, gas cans still, though, 7, 8, 9, 10 kills in a third place. Yeah. Absolutely huge. Is it huge enough to catch up to Sonics, though, when Sonics are getting the first place? You have to wonder, this was the game. This could have been the game that really, set the tone for the rest of the day. If gas cans could win this final fight versus Sonics. Oh, man. I don't know what to think. Top Dog just coming in and throwing a wrench into everything.
I mean, that's just what can happen. And whenever you look at battle royales and how they can play out, good positioning coming from that. Good awareness on what was going on behind him, and patience to really just turn the game on its head and walk away with a second place, as well as walking away with 4 kills for himself. On top of that, we saw the fact that Illusion had a little bit of trouble towards the earlier sections. So this turned from a damage control game into a near-on victory, and some great plays from Top Dog on top of that. You could almost call him the MVP for Sonics in that round.
You almost could. I mean, look, the fact that Sonics was able to get that far late into the game based off of the compound, that's going to be something that the analyst desk have to talk about. I'm really interested to see what those guys have to say about this one.
So with this, we're going to go ahead and throw it over to the analyst. You guys take it away.
What a game. And guys, I got to tell you, if you are looking to get your last fix of competitive PUBG, if that game wasn't enough for you and you want to go hard on 2020, well, then sign up for the DreamHack PUBG Showdown and get your chance to compete with the top talent in North America and the Latin American regions. To register, check out dreamhack.com/PUBG. Qualifiers start on November 28th, so register soon. What a game. Top Dog. I don't know if this was his tryouts to join the Sonics or if he's just officially the 5th man.
I mean, he's in, right?
I was gonna say, what are they gonna add him to the roster?
He was behind them. I was watching him. I think the gas cans let him live to play with the Sonics. Like, they were like, we're gonna use him as our 5th man, and he ends up just smashing them. But here's my walkaway, guys. that was fisticuffs at its finest. Gas cans came to play. The Sonics went punch for punch, and they both get almost the same amount of points. And that's what you want to see is the gas cans. They're not going to make this easy for the Sonics.
No, I think the one thing to point out here, and I know Poro said that, I hope he wasn't directing that at me, but it just goes to show really how possible it is that a team's able to match that performance. Sonics, you could argue there were some favorable shifts for them there. Yeah. And we're talking about, circles 1 to 4 were back-to-back opposite end hard shifts, but Gas Cans absolutely took that in their stride. And that's the reason we saw them carry so many kill points over to the late game there.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look back at how that game went, because there was a whole lot of chaos. Let's look at the highlights.
Highlights.
Take it.
Highlights. STK, man, they had quite a tough time, and I think tough time is a little bit of an understatement, as they fought like 3 or 4 teams at once, and they were doing some damage, man, but that was actually a really beautiful spray from Waldo. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, SDK was fighting for their lives.
I was screaming.
Yeah, you were screaming, actually.
The fact that they were able to live that long, but it was all down to Zenith keeping ATC off that ridge, right? And and you know what? Hats off to Oath in this situation. Patcap's kind of stuck out on an island here. Snakers and Balefrost absolutely taking control of that situation, and the third-party opportunity there to pick up some kill points.
Oh, 100%. And the fact that, I mean, we were even talking about the fact that SDK had survived so long and kind of praising SDK's ability to just kind of hang on and do some damage while they were getting absolutely mauled. That being said, Gas Cans, I mean, these guys were pretty phenomenal for most of the match until the 5th member of Sonics came and backstabbed them. So it was really quite the game, but what a hell of an ending.
Well, you know, I was talking about it as well. The big thing is that you could see how aware Sonics were of Top Dog's position, right? And he just played it so slow. So slow that Sonics just said, you know what, screw the solo, we're going to try and get ourselves onto the hill. Because we were talking about this back and forth. Like, Sonics looked like they were in, like, coast mode. They were literally coasting into the end game there. Obviously, with the benefit of having a compound, Gascan looked way more active, way more proactive ahead of Circle Pops. You saw them sweeping down to the south side, making sure there was nothing else to worry about once they got to that hilltop.
Let's run the leaderboard for the match. But you're right. Gas Cans cleared the bottom of the hill. They took care of their solo threat, which was the Rumblers, right? So there were 2 solo threats. And Gas Cans goes, well, that's our problem. We'll take care of it. Don't worry, Sonics. We got the south. You take care of the guy in the north. And Sonics was like, no. We've got a plan. We've got motorcycles and we've got smokes. And now we've got Top Dog. And that's going to make them the top dog in this match with 17 points. Go ahead, Godspeed.
I was going to say, they did not hold up to your point, Steve. They did not hold up to their end of the bargain. Like, you know, the Gas Cans did. They're like, look, we'll take care of ours. As you said, you guys take care of yours. And Sonics was like, wait, what? We have a solo? But either way, the thing that I find really curious is I do generally wonder if Sonics or Gascan, I would assume Sonics knew that maybe Top Dog was there, but I was really curious to know if the Gascans did, because I mean, he came right up underneath and he backstabbed the hell out of him. So
well, they expected the Sonics backstab.
I was gonna say it came off the back of one of Gascan's getting knocked after Mime had got that close position and there was a lot of pressure coming onto the hillside. You know, they were trading headshots back and forth with these quick peeks and whatnot. As soon as that knock came onto Gascans, Top Dog actually used that opportunity to sweep towards that tree. I will just say he has absolutely no business getting 2 knocks there. Like that. Agreed. That's kind of the factor. You know, he could play spoiler there, but he has absolutely no business getting 2 knocks there.
Honestly, that read to me as pure shock by the Gas Cans. Like, they were head peeking. I think they were waiting for him to shoot the Sonics in the back.
Yeah.
Didn't pan out. That said, if he hadn't been there, looking at these point totals, the Gas Cans probably, in my opinion, would have got 4Ks out of that. And it would have been a very different ball game going forward, as the Sonics would have lost 2. But it's not a game about what ifs. Let's look at the kill top 5. Voxic, Adam. By the way, Adam, 4 kills.
Yes.
Team wipe. What?
A casual little team wipe on Adam's part there on the comments. And sadly, we didn't get to see it, but that I'm sure was quite a play.
All the 4s. Literally, all 4s across the board there. I love to see it. Also, just a quick shout out as well. CD6 could not wait to slide in my DMs partway through that. This is the first time T8 have died in Phase 8. It's the first time they've seen Phase 8 in PCS3. So shout out to Weimu as well, putting up 4 kills at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not too shabby from William. Great stuff. Waldo, I was giving him a hard time yesterday, Godspeed, about how where's his form been. He seems like he's off of it, and you saw that spray, little Waldini magic.
He made it back, but I'll be honest, it was never the same once I left. Really, when it goes. I'm just kidding.
Damage up there.
Man.
Tig and Mima represented Hypoc. A little bit of a fun surprise to Sharp Shots in second.
Yeah, and again, they were up until kind of circle 4, circle 5. ATC were over in a really, really strong position on that hillside. Unfortunately, again, SDK able to survive as long as they did just caused so many problems for them in advancing any further forward. And it was a weird spot for SDK to pull up on. So maybe ATC not anticipating that. Maybe they thought they could leapfrog to the next hill. But I thought ATC were well positioned, and that's reflected really in how active Sharpshot was through the mid game in his damage stats here.
Yeah, I don't think Sun Tzu would ever call parking in a valley between two hills a good strategic idea. And I think ATC was a little shocked when they came up over the hill and SDK was standing down there. So a little bit catching them off guard. Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard. See where everyone stands after that match. It is still a 3-ish horse race. Both went out early but put up some good numbers. Guadalajara Gas Cans and the Sonics both north of 200. Godspeed?
Real quick, Pac, I'm sad about Duel in that last round, man. 0 points. Pac, you, I'm sure, have something to say about that. I'll go ahead and
not an awful lot. I'll be honest. It's disappointing. I would love to see them kind of start the final day explosive, so to say. There's one interesting point to make. Obviously, where the point it was top 3 there. Top Dog was last up, and it was basically 4v4v1. If Gascans had clutched that out, it would have brought it to a 4-point difference. Yeah. And you can just see like the difference that makes by Sonics putting some of those kill points up. And because I hate to say it, Gascans should have won that. That's a huge clutch up from Sonics. And again, we can attribute that to how much better they performed on Miramar. It's kind of, written in the numbers, I guess. Yeah, statistically they were odds on to win that end game, but that was Gascan's game to win, and that would have been such a phenomenal start to the final day to bring it that close.
Still, though, you make a good point, and Cameron was really hammering on this yesterday. Sonics makes their most points. I think he said 2/3 of their points on Miramar. So the fact that the Gas Cans are keeping pace is a good thing, right, Godspeed?
I think Gas Cans are playing better PUBG than some of the teams we expected to play like they're playing right now. And that's
like STK.
That's really, STK is, and I don't need to beat STK down because they are already very hard on themselves with their performance. True. I mean, I'm not surprised if they would even tweet and say something like that afterwards. But I mean, those guys are hungry and they want it, but it's just Gas Cans showing that they want it more. I mean, they're performing out of control.
And I think the reality is it's very clear that everyone in North America wants to prove that they are one of the top 4 teams. And Gas Cans, who wasn't even in that debate, just became a big part of it. All right, guys, it is time for game number 2. So let's head over to the Masters of Miramar, the only guys who will serve you your dessert in the desert. It's time for Porosaurus and Matchroom.
And here we sit, Poro, on our last game of Miramar for PCS number 3. Last one was freaking exciting, moving down in between Sonics, Gas Cans, and Illusion. The Illusion being the big upset inside of this one. Poro, I gotta say it though. I feel bad for Duel right now for one simple factor. They got the from Hypoc. Whenever you throw the out from him, you're like, oh, it just hits. It hits the soul, man.
You just never want to get the
Yeah. I've had that one happen. I know you've had that one happen. We did something in the game playing with him. He's just like, it hurts.
It really be like that sometimes. It really do.
It do.
I once again though, obviously fantastic finish. Awesome for Sonics that they're able to get that first place. Awesome for Gas Cans that they're able to drop that lead down to 19 points. But never forget Top Dog and Weem, the solo Snake performers from that game that had such a big impact, coming in big with 4 kills for both of their teams as solo players. And man, it just goes to show you that you can be down to that last player and you can still have such a big influence on how the game works out, how the whole thing plays out. It's just so cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, just the tactics that you see teams try to deploy in circles and how to maneuver through them never ceases to amaze me when we look at the best that North America has to offer. But enough of the last round. Let's go ahead and start taking a look at what we've got coming up inside of this one. Playing path is pretty centralized, so but there's a chance that maybe we'll get those hard shifts that I love so much, but looks like it's going to be a little bit more friendly this time around. Oh, see, now you're throwing me the. I see how it goes.
I'm sorry. I was looking at we have, for some reason, have 65 in the lobby. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, look, another thing that you have to mention, because it had such a huge impact on that first game. If the Sonics are going to get the circle luck again today, like they've gotten in the past, this is going to be bad news. Now, gas cans clearly have figured out a way to work against that, right? And they found a way to kind of make it to where they play their own game, they're doing their own thing, and they're also working those edges, still finding the kills and making it to the late game. But that's not always the case for gas cans. Them getting to late game with 4 up is actually pretty rare. They just do so well when they have 3 or 2 up that we don't really ever notice.
Look, it costs you a player or 2 along the way to get those 12 to 15 mid-game kills. You know what I mean? But that being said, we were starting to see a lot more aggression from some teams toward the middle sections of the game. Even gas cans kind of picking up a lot more of their kills. Yes, towards the later sections of the mid game, but not being as prone to just like roll up on teams and take the fight. They still managed to walk away with a lot of kills inside that round. But do you think that's just kind of a symptom of the fact that we're looking at the last day of games, so nobody wants to be a little bit more, I guess, flagrant with their aggression?
To be honest, I think that was more of a symptom of the circle.
That's true as
well. Gas cans, like we said, they are one of the teams in this lobby that are more inclined to go for that early fight and feel comfortable going for those early fights, those circle 1, circle 2 fights. But that being said, they're also not stupid. They're not just throwing it out there for the hell of it, right? So they knew that they were coming in late to this circle. They knew they had very little information about what was going on the edge that they were at. So therefore, we just kind of saw them hang out and we saw them take the initial quick fight against Veritas once they got that quick read. And that's another thing. Good on them for being able to get that really quick read on what was going on as far as Michael being the solo in that compound. So that's something that we got to give gas cans credit for, is their scouting is just so good and so quick.
On the other side of that, like you even brought it up, that circle that we were looking at tends to be where, let's go ahead and make our way back down towards the south. I like it. It's not a super spicy circle, but it's not just a directed center circle. It's still got Picado inside of it. But what I was going back to is that you mentioned the fact, and we've seen notoriously, that Sonic sometimes struggle in those northeastern circles, but they managed to find themselves a great way in that last round. Let's see if they can do it again.
They did. I mean, I got to give huge props to them for changing up their typical approach on circles like that. Now, they did get fortunate with the Circle 2 hard shift up to the north. If that's saying hard shifts to the south, they're all of a sudden playing from edge. And, recently we've been seeing Sonics have a much better time making it to late game, surviving until late game, playing with 4 up, and then going for the fights in Circle 6 to really kind of popping off on average later, getting their kills later in the game. But most of that has had to do with them getting inside the circle, getting good circle shifts going to their direction, and playing from a position of power. Whereas you look at a team like Gas Cans, or you look at even STK or Oath, they're coming in later, they're playing from the edge. They may not get the circle, but they're fine with that. They're used to that. So, it's playing to the strength of Sonics right now. And now if these circles keep going in the way that they are, we'll have to see if we see a snowball going for Sonics. But the fact that they had to win that 1v2 or that 4v4 fight, well, I guess 5v4 fight, if you want to be real about it, with Gas Cans in game 1, definitely has to have them a little bit shook.
Yeah, I'm still curious on what prompted Top Dog to make that angle. I'm gonna have to message him afterwards, because that one's just gonna drive me insane the longer that one goes through.
Well, I mean, Sonics just weren't showing. He was expecting somebody to go for the low wrap, which honestly I would have too, and nobody from Sonics ever did it. And he had that cover right there that would have made it perfect for him to get in that, to engage in a fight there and safely for if somebody from Sonics decided to go low. But they just never did, and they did that because they knew he was down there. So it was really smart. It put Sonic, it reduced the amount of options for Sonic to be able to engage in that fight with Gas Cans, which sucked. But at the end of the day, it ended up paying off huge for him.
You know, the last round is great whenever we're talking about the same last round in phase 1 right now, but it's a little bit quieter of a first circle, guys. So we're still riding on all the hype of that last one. That being said,
I can't say this. If you want to talk about this circle, recently we've seen a lot of circles like this go right on top of Los Leones, and maybe just to the south of Los Leones. We saw one yesterday.
Yeah.
So well, it'll be interesting to see if we're still getting things in clumps. As far as circles go,
I am praying to the circle gods right now to give us an urban Los Leones ending.
Oh my
just
God, please, no.
Come on, think about the poeticness of having
about the FPS.
I know.
50 smokes down as people are trying
Why
to
you always got to ruin my fun, Poro? I like the mean circles. Stop taking them away from me with your logic.
Because your fun sucks.
My fun is amazing.
Okay, fair enough. It is kind of entertaining because, I mean, it ends up coming down to these crazy street crossings, which kind of throws me back to the old Bad Company 2 days and Battlefield 3 days where you're fighting inside the cities or whatever, and you're trying to get across the street when you know everybody's looking over in your direction. I don't know. It's a little bit of a throwback with the urban endings in PUBG, but it's definitely interesting. But I know these guys hate it.
So just to give you guys a heads up on the macro positioning that's coming to play, everybody's kind of hanging out in the suburban life of Los Leones right now and kind of stretched back over next to Chumacera. Other than that, we still have Gascans, ATC, Fabled, and Illusion. They're the only teams that are not yet inside the safe zone. And let's be honest, not pretty centered up around Los Leones right now.
Shrimzy's on foot right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
really
there he is.
Close
He
positioning.
does have a vehicle. This is a little sketchy.
And well, it looks like Veritas realized he's by himself. They're making a play back down towards that angle. Shrimzy does look like he's going to get away from it, but man, Veritas wanted that really bad. And let's be clear, he's not 100% away yet. He still has to cross this open area, and looks like D-Treats has a feeling that that's going to be the way he paths through, but instead, just going to be happy that they got this compound and just going to let him go on his merry way. There's not a lot of other teams that can really harass except for maybe Rumblers, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a quick regroup coming out from everybody on Sonics. Rumblers do have a position they can play back over towards, but Shoot to Kill playing back on the other side of Los Leones right now, running a 2-2 split back over towards the north and the southeastern positions around Los Leones, getting a little bit more information as they do spot Zenith driving up the hillside, but really have control over everything to the east of this point. Everybody is still playing on the other side of Los Leones at the time.
Yeah, it was good on Tig and H-Win there to take a few shots over in the direction of Veritas, at least, just to force them to pull back down so that they couldn't just afford to all peek that ridgeline and take shots at Shrimzy. Meanwhile, Oath in a 2-2 just off to the north of Los Leones. They have taken a few shots from Comets. Comets typically hold that tall building on the very western edge of Los Leones for as long as they can. SDK also moving in on the western side of Los Leones. Haven't tried to go for center, really. Look like they're more taking up territory towards the end, and I think this has to do a lot with the fact that we've seen so many circles go over to the east in this situation recently. So I think SGK maybe playing their odds here.
Well, okay, let's look at the overall leaderboard whenever we're at it right now. Naturally, there's a 19-point lead that Sonics have over the Gas Cans, and then back behind that, it's 14 points, I believe, for Oath back behind them. We only have 4 games that we're looking at today. First one's already done. This could be a trend-setting round right now. If Sonics have a little bit of troubles, go down early, that could open up the doors for Gas Cans. But if Sonics have a big win, that means it might just turn into a 2-horse race for second between Gas Cans and Oath. There's a lot of momentum to be had inside of this round, specifically for our top teams. Every single one of them is aching to have a phenomenal round to really either try to catch up against Sonics, or Oath trying to catch up to Gas Cans, or Sonics just trying to cement and get back that big lead that they had beforehand. So there are a lot of stakes into this because, yes, momentum is a factor inside of this game. If you can build up the points to get a little bit more of a lead, it gives you more comfort and ability to take the fights that you may opt away from whenever things are closer in the leaderboard.
Well, speaking of Gas Cans, they're running into a little bit of a trouble here on the south side of this circle. A lot of teams actually all kind of right on top of each other. You got Hardships, T8, Dodge, Gas, all kind of crossing in the middle of each other. It looks like everybody's going to get away for the time being, but definitely some close calls there. Oldless is taken extremely low. I think he was just trying to provide a little bit of support for the rest of the team. But to your point, another thing to consider, Gas Cans yesterday were terrible on Miramar. they got 5 points total in 2 games.
True.
And Erangel was really where they started popping off. So, we did see some kind of weird circles, but we've also, that's a military looting team, Matt, and we've seen a lot of melee circles lately. So it would not be too surprising to see it go their way. Meanwhile,
speaking of things going people's way, look, Poro, let's make our way towards Los Leones. Condensed back down a little bit more. But you can see all the players had an idea on how the circle was going to shift through. Really, it's just our outlier teams. Gas cans do have themselves a little bit of position, but one player not inside the safe zone. Hard shifts and Illusion going to be the ones that are going to have to be making some type of rotation and might be facing a little bit of troubles depending on how they're opting into moving into the zone.
Let's see. Kind of interesting to see SDK actually give up that high ground off to the east and instead elect.
I think it's because nobody was over there. Everybody just left the eastern corridor, so why not? I don't know.
It still always weirds me out to see a team with 4 up go into the middle of the city on purpose. I don't know why. Maybe we've gotten better. The frames have gone up. Performance has gotten better when you're playing inside the city, so that might have a lot to do with it. We'll see. But everybody already pretty much inside the circle now. It's just a question of finding where you want to play from this point out. It looks like Fabled also going to send it inside the city. Oath, Sonics, they're holding down where they were already at. Veritas, ATC also. Rumblers doing a little bit of a move, but they've had this well scouted out, so I got to imagine they know that this is free and clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a little bit of a recentering that's going on right now. I always get nervous whenever I see teams take this little bit of a dip because, sure, there's some space right now, but it's got control. But the later the game goes, and if you're still playing this dip, it tends to not ever go well. It's almost just like a grenade cone. It just magically pulls every grenade around it right on top of your team. But, I mean, there's just not a lot of options. Unless you're just going to be brazen, like shoot to kill and run right into Los Leones. There's just a lot of flat areas. I mean, that's why you see specifically back over towards the south, a lot of these teams are really just starting to cluster up a little bit more because it does provide a little bit easier of rotation points. But, this could be telling for what could happen inside the round. Gas cans rolling right up into the position of 2 of the members for Sonics. So we do have right now a 2-2 position, but the other members for Gas cans coming up back behind him. Boxic does go down to a grenade coming out from Mime, but you can see slowly being patient off of it. Reinforcements on the backside for Sonics. Got to be careful now. Mime getting a little bit more aggressive back forward positioning. That Molotov is going to connect and take down and flush out Boxic. Sonics now know this could be an opportunity for them to take down the team that's kind of haunting them right back behind them on the leaderboard. Honey Badger playing back down in this ridge position, not going to spot out Mime as he steps back away from long-range shots that are being thrown their direction. So having to be very, very careful off this one. Mime also starting to get a little bit more hesitant, as I believe it's going to be Veritas that's taking shots from the backside of this fight.
That's exactly who it is. And actually, Veritas are going to take this opportunity to backfill the position that Sonics just left. So now Veritas in a good position to maybe do a little third partying onto this, as Gas Cans looks like they're going to keep repositioning. Oldless working over the top with Honey Badger. Nikos will hold down the low ground. He's going to listen for any sounds that he can speak. H1 will get taken low. Oldless will have to pull back, though, because Michael, Veritas just being that annoying little critter in their ear right now.
To be very careful. They do have some distance away from Rumblers, and just due to the way that the train works, while they are kind of close, they don't have a good firing line into this fight.
Oh my God, this
circle is going to shift back over, and yes, Poro, my prophecy and my prayers are coming true. This is all
your fault.
I love it. All right, let's see everybody hop in their vehicles, make a push back over to Los Leones in just 1 second. Shoot to kill going for positioning early could be huge, as we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown happen with the Sonics gas can fight. Both of them knowing the fact that they want to take it, but you can see Gas Cans being a little bit more hesitant, knowing the fact that they don't have the numbers and the fact that they can reposition around and maybe gatekeep Sonics from position instead.
There you go. That's what I was going to say, is that they've managed to save Private Nikos, and now they're in a perfect position to do a little gatekeeping. The last bullet from Badger will find Tig, but H-Win trying to make a run up the hill here. I think Gas Cans might be able to hear his footsteps. They do. They're going to be in time, though. H-Win will get the work done. Can he trade 2? Yes, he can. The captain is in full effect here, saving his team, while Honey Badger continues to throw the throwables down there and see if he can flush out Tickleton. Not going to find anything yet, and now Mime is going to replace H-Win, and here comes the push.
Veritas has already shifted out of position. This is just a straight-up fight between these two different squads. Honey Badger trying to hold the line, gets a good connection back over. Takes down H1, gets the flush onto one of them. Gets Shrimsy extremely low as well. Takes a peek back over towards it. Gets one on Tiggleton, but does go down. A lot of damage has been dealt back over towards Sonics. Going to be a quick res coming back over towards Shrimsy. H1 now down and rolling down the hillside, trying to get these reses back up. They have to get Tiggleton quite quickly, but they're going to be one of the last teams to make a push back over towards Los Leones. And let's be honest, if you can look at the map and the situation on what's going on inside of Los Leones, it is a mess. We can see that Shoot to Kill and Comets already skirmishing off of position, and Zenith looks like they might have the capability of third party at range.
I'm actually in malding right now. Where the hell is Veritas? How do they not realize that Sonics is all down here and all knocked? Why have they not made their way over to third party onto this? That's free kills that they just basically said we don't want, we don't need them, whatever. And now, okay, we're back into Comets and STK. I'm sorry, I was driving in, that drove me insane. I don't understand it.
Veritas had moved a little bit earlier inside of this. I like how Shoot Skill's like, where did he go? He just kind of popping up a little deadly jack the box back over into that corner. Got to be a little bit more careful with that, but we are also going to see the illusion come up back behind them, and we know the fact that they can cause a lot of trouble in some of these fights. With the way that Shoot to Kill was positioned, they're having a little bit of trouble regrouping entirely at the time, but quick pickup for a couple of kills back over towards the Rumblers, setting them back over towards 3, and should be able to get the res over towards Waldo. Really, the only team that Rumblers have to be super cautious of is going to be that late rotating Sonics that could have an angle to work with, but it's just continued harassment back towards the due center or downtown of Los Leones right now, as people are getting vision and taking pot shots at each other and getting downs, but really not having the capability to close in and just kind of get the flushes onto it. But that does mean armor, helmets, starting to take a little bit of damage.
It looks like Comets and STK have traded 2 and 2 from their compound position, so we'll see where they go. Meanwhile, Sonics, after Veritas so kindly allowed them to live for no freaking reason, are now making it inside the circle with 3 up, and they can play from the edge fairly safely here. Not really much going on around them. Rumblers about the closest thing, and they're inside the warehouse. Everybody else really just kind of working the edges of Los Leones on this ridge line. You see Oath, Dodge, T8, Hardships all kind of working that ridge here. Veritas to the north, ATC as well, as we kind of see how the map's going to set up here.
Well, 2 things to note. Right now, Rumblers and Oath have very strong positions for this circle, because while I do love urban endings, let's be real, usually we see it kind of stretch out of those points. So most likely, we're going to see maybe favor back over towards that southwestern area, which is going to be where Rumblers' warehouse and Oath's positioning right along that ridgeline could be quite strong. With the urban fights itself, you can see that Shoot to Kill in a little bit of trouble right now. They're surrounded on multiple fronts, as Zenith is just kind of taking the ground approach, and what is very deadly. Whenever you're trying to make your way through this position, we've all had it happen before, you just feel like you're getting shot from every single window. But whenever you look at the competitive side, a lot of people try to keep an eye on what's happening directly at their building and try to stop encroachment in and of itself. So you can see that Zenith trying to kind of capitalize off that, use very long corridors, specifically these buildings themselves, to try to navigate through where people might be trying to take shots at them, and instead moving through big sections of Los Leones without having to worry about firefights.
There's an interesting situation breaking on the south side here as Duel finally made their push in, but they do it at the same time as Hardships, and you can see T8 already there, Zealot and Lush in a pretty good position to spot these guys out. Hardships, I think, have lost one, lost Lobes. I think they've lost 2 now, Lobes and Chubba, as they just hide out for the time being. Meanwhile, Duel on the other side of the street, they haven't got a nice little wall to work with. They should be fine.
At this point, we're going to have to start calling him Jay Clutch. He feels like he's one of the last members up for Hardships every single time right now, but he does have a little bit of company back over there with Maluk. They are inside the safe zone.
Well.
But do it?
He's been doing so well.
He really has.
J-Sang has improved dramatically over the course of this year, and this PCS3 J-Sang is fantastic, and I'd love to see him performing at a high level again. Just a shame it wasn't enough to drag Hardships up a little bit higher.
I mean, Hardships do have a couple of opportunities inside of the positions that they're playing right now and can really pick up some kills depending on movement. Really, the aggression that we're seeing coming out from Duel could be quite favorable to them, because as long as they know how Duel's moving through and listen to the firefights, Duel can kind of become a protective shield for Hardships to kind of flank back and behind of. But really, it's also coming down to how T8 moves. T8 is very split off of positioning, trying to make their way back over to kind of where Dodge is at. It looks like, look at the stretch of T8 members across the right side of the screen, going all the way back over towards that angle. They have a lot of control for positioning, really, but they're very stretched. So depending on how this circle goes, this could be a little bit problematic for specifically our teams back down towards the south.
Well, there go Hardships as combination of Cherry and Zealot will finish that off. But yeah, no, Hardships, your Dodge, TAC 8, you mentioned had this kind of a wide spread. It looks like they collapsed on that to try to finish off Hardships, and maybe we'll see if they hold in here for Duel. I think a lot of the reason they collapsed was more because of Dodge. Dodge had really good angles onto the rest of T8, but now that new circle popped, you can see they're already in trucks on the move, trying to find their way in because this thing cut hard to the west.
Who would have thought? Hard Western shift comes into play, and repositioning coming out from T8, going to run right into Tiggleton, who's got a nice firing line to work with. Sonic's really got control back over towards the west. Remember, Rumbler's still holding down that warehouse, and Oath that are still going to have that ridge line, all in very powerful positions right now. The remnants that have been playing inside of downtown itself, or Los Leones, having a lot of trouble right now. As you can see, it's just quick exchanges back and forth. T8 knows that they've got a little bit of trouble ahead of them as Duel's trying to make their way up along this northern path to try to encroach into that area, but they have to be very careful. It's going to be Dodge, Zenith, Illusion, and maybe even Purdy Curdy from Shoot to Kill, choosing a path along that lines. Meanwhile, just to the north of that, it's going to be Comets, Fabled, and Oath that could be bumping into each other. So Duel having to just kind of jump their way through. But we can see that Fable's got a nice position that they're trying to play from at the time. Very aware of where Comets are playing from, but do Comets have the firepower to double stack away from this position? Becomes the big question on how they're going to make their way through the zone. They are inside of safe zone. They just have to play this very cautiously based off of Fable's positioning.
You know what's going to happen, Matt?
What?
I'm calling it right now. It's end game. The last two teams. It's going to come down to Veritas and Sonics.
Veritas and Sonics? Do you think so? I'm kind of feeling
I'm calling
that
it right now.
I'm kind of feeling that Oath's positioning and Rumbler's positioning is pretty strong.
No. Because Veritas let Sonics live.
Oh, just because?
It's going to come down to Sonics versus Veritas for the win, and Sonics is going to win. I'm calling it right now. We'll see if it happens. I don't know. I believe you though. Oath has such a good position right now. We'll see how many kills they can pick up. This, like you said though, everybody flushing through the funnels here in the urban area makes it really kind of difficult to spot out. So, and just the fact that it's just 4 of Oath. So if they get one knocked here, it's going to be kind of rough.
This smoke wall is so good. Buys positioning that they needed to get through. Creates right along the side of this. We see this be very common. Just play along this western facing of Los Leones. Kind of playing along that ridge line. Make your way back along next to where Oath is at the time. Duel doesn't need to overextend from this point. They can hear the firefight and everything that's going on around them. And so instead, just kind of let your enemies fight amongst themselves and see if maybe you can find an opportunity to work with. ATC now coming back behind the Comets and Fabled fight that we were seeing just a second ago. Nobody really encroaching back over towards the direction where Oath is at. Do note, Oath is running a 2-1-1 split with all firing lines to cover each other. So that's why there is a big stall that's happening back over towards the east. It's just very hard to contend with the angles. Meanwhile, right on the other side, as you can see from Oath, it's just super comfortable from positioning. So now, here's the problem for Oath. They are separated out, but look at how many teams are about to be vying for their position.
You know, it's not just Oath either. It's Dodge on this southern part. They're holding this high angle as well. So it's a number of teams that are just kind of trying to cope with these lines of sight from Dodge and Oath. Fabled still managing to keep a few up. ATC now having to make their way in. Zenith, Duel, even our last remaining player for SDK, Kurt, will have to try to find some way to get in this. But new circle looking really nice for Rumblers, looking great for Sonics as they can just kind of hang out on the southwest and not have to worry about much of anything.
I do want to point out Pat Cap's positioning on the minimap right now. Look at how aggressively he has repositioned back around where Dodge is at. Stragglers now getting picked up everywhere as there are still 8 teams, 26 alive, but don't be surprised if we're going to see that drop off dramatically here in the next couple of seconds. Really, it's about Duel's positioning and how they're going to opt to move forward. You can see Dodge still playing off the high ground point, looking back down. They have multiple angles and repositions that they can go through. It's about how Duel chooses to play this angle. The way that they can try to move through this, you can see that Lynxie's kind of being a little bit of a distraction while the other 2 members are moving in closer, and Cherry does connect with a grenade. That could be absolutely huge. Now going to try to see if he can get it maybe with a connection Molotov. That might be good. I can't quite tell. Yeah, he's caught on fire. That's going to be Adam going down. A beautiful toss coming out from them. So now Duel in a much better position than they were just a second ago, and Dodge now having to scramble down, make their way down the hill, or down there, the stairs, to make sure that they can really stop Duel's approach.
The raid boss himself with a great throwables here, although he's going to take a lot of damage as he tries to make his way through. Finna and Dodge not oh no, did he shoot his own player in the back of the head? I'm not sure if Penta took some damage there, but Finna will get credit for the knock. The flashes come through. Is this going to be the push from Dodge or just a reposition? Looks like they're just holding down for the time being, but you do have windows.
Lynxy!
Oh, Lynxy, no. Finna just destroys him, but Cherry will come up over the top and he'll get the down. Will they flush out the kill? It doesn't look like. Oh, Finna. What a hold from Finna and Dodge as Cherry and the rest of Duel go down in 8th place.
Big plays coming out from both of those teams. It's going to be Dodge surviving with just one member. Meanwhile, any trolls in chat is going to be kind of listening to what's going on towards the north of their position. That's going to be Fable that's trying to make a play. Do note, there is still the 2-1-1 split coming from Oath just to really get control over everything that's happening back over towards the east. There's remnants of teams that are still just playing back over towards that eastern area, and that's allowing all of the distraction. Sonics can capitalize off of that. You can see that they keep moving into new, stronger positions to try to find some type of angle. And there we go. Shifts back over towards the north. Maybe Prophecy Poro could come up big, as it's going to be Veritas and Rumblers in a great spot.
Well, Rumblers don't have much to do right now, but Oath is this is going to be interesting time for Oath. We'll see how many they can keep alive while trying to come down that hill, because it is going to be I don't know what they do here. Sonics, Rumblers, Veritas all have vision on this big slope coming down out of the spot where Oath already is. But, we'll see if maybe Oath is just in a position to try to get as many kills as they can here. Only 2 so far.
I mean, this is an interesting setup for Oath. They have the control, they have firing lines. But if one member, specifically Balefrost or Patcaps, goes down, they are unresable. Really, it's only just set up with the other 2 that are stacked on top of each other, and there's going to be a funnel of teams that are trying to work around this position. Do note the Sonics are also going to have to make their way forward. Patcap's positioning, where he did separate out, does not get rewarded with positioning. So the longer that Pat stays here, we're going to see the fact that maybe he repositions to buy some space for it. Oath now knows they're in a bad spot, trying to get as much damage out as they can. Snakers does connect onto that to finally eliminate out Dodge. But the problem is going to be ATC and Fabled, and oddly enough, they're starting to contest with each other. This is going to work out beautifully for Oath. As you can see now, ATC trying to make their way back along this low point position. Oath is going to have a little bit of tools to work with from this, and now also know exactly where Fabled are going to be at. Beautiful toss is going to connect, get a little bit of damage off, and everybody that's peeking back over Snaker's direction is taking a ton of damage off of it. Another beautiful Molotov throw to come through there. It looks like we're going to get a quick Viking funeral coming out for Rip. Greg Shot's in a lot of trouble now as well, and this is the strength. While if you can see a member of Oath were to go down, it'd be problematic, but they can cover each other from so many angles. It's so hard and oppressive for any of these other teams to try to reposition.
Greg Shot just going to die to the blue there. There's not really much else he can do. Gila and Norcus will make it inside the compound, but they'll most likely just kind of play the audio cues for the time being. It looks like the rest of Oath is going to group together. Snakers, Bale, and Reload, the guys that are up on the high ground at least, are going to try to see if they can maybe finish off ATC before they have to worry about trying to make their way down the hill here.
ATC slowly making their way through. Norcus taking a ton of damage from the blue zone. And as you're making the approach back over towards Oath, that's going to be problematic. Norcus does go down to the blue zone itself. Balefrost feels like he has a great read on what's coming through. Quick Spray is going to go ahead and connect. And there we go. Back over towards the east. It is calmed down. But the problem comes into play. The new circle has popped, and it's going to be Veritas and Rumblers that are still inside the zone. Oath are still going to need to make a little bit of a reposition back over towards the east, as well as Sonics up towards the north. And really, all eyes now turn to the defensive fortifications of Veritas and Rumblers.
Who's gonna? I'm really interested to see how Oath decides to do this. What are they going to decide? I mean, basically, all you can do really send it now. Maybe they can try to go around to the north, or at least try to go around towards where Pat is.
Looks like they're just going to send it in a vehicle.
Yeah,
go off the cliff. Go off the cliff. Yeah.
There they go. They go off the cliff. I mean, there's nothing else really they can do. I mean, they had to go down, so they're going to try to heal up a little bit before they have to make this push. But they're going to eat some Bale.
I don't think that those meds were worth it. They're taking way more blue damage than they're medding.
That does more than tickle, doesn't it? Well, they will manage to get down in here. Oh, Relo will get spotted out by D-Treats. Can he get another one? Pat,
Oh, no, Pat.
the truck, high points. They got 6 kills, but they managed to get to this wall, and that is absolutely huge.
All right, Rumblers, what do you got for your defensive line? Veritas does see everything that's going on, starting to make approach back over there. Beautiful Molotov does land back over towards Pat Caps as well. A lot of damage going to come back over his direction. He's going to go down. Then there were 2 still up and active for Oath, looking back and forth between the hellfire that is raining down upon them, trying to see if they can find some way to get something out of this, but it's going to be Veritas that's looking up to pick up the remnants of Oath based off of positioning. Rumblers are just holding the defensive wall right now, and it's all work coming out from Veritas. Snakers is trying to figure out what he's going to do. He's going to have a couple of flashes thrown back over towards him, but it's a double up firing line coming out from Oath, and Veritas starts to realize, okay, maybe this might be a little bit too aggressive as McCoy continues to watch that outer wall to see if anybody's going to be coming through that doorway.
To pull off of that for the time being. I mean, Sonics, I think, was also taking some shots into Veritas right there, but Snakers and Balefrost, they're on the very edge of this building. Let's see how long they can stay alive. They managed to heal up a little bit as we push into Phase 9. This is tough stuff, tough sledding. Rumblers, I gotta feel, have a really good shot at this one.
Well, here's the thing. Sonics used all of this
right on
distraction to reposition right in the middle of the circle. Veritas was caught up looking at Oath. Rumblers was caught up looking at Oath. So now Sonics has a beautiful defensive setup. They are sitting with a hefty lead over Gascans, who went down early. Oath down to 2 members. They know that they need a big game, but the numbers and position are not in their favor. Big Shot's going to go ahead and connect from Tiggleton that take down the other side of the Rumblers. Now just 1, and it's going to be Gaxi, who now knows he has to walk right in between Sonics and Oath. The whole time this is going on, Veritas is trying to reposition. Snakers does find the angle back over towards Keenan, does get him down, buying a little bit more space to work with. You can see that Veritas doesn't have a lot of good cover and are going to have to walk through the open soon, and Snakers is trying to capitalize off of that.
I think Jazza can actually get this res onto Keenan, bring back Veritas up to 3 strong here as they try to push in. Good smoke cloud laid down. The Sonics still haven't been sending shots over in Veritas' direction. Looks like they're more concerned with taking care of the last member of Rumblers and seeing if they can find an angle onto Oath here. But they've got fantastic cover, fantastic position. Tig, the most aggressive one here, trying to go out there and see what he can find on the edge.
Oh, Tig playing inside the smokes, spots out a little bit of information, be it through his ears or through just a shoulder popping through the smoke. Gaxi knows that he's in trouble and finally gonna go down. Sonics taking more and more of a stranglehold towards this in circle as everybody is just being clustered and slowly herded back over towards each other. It's going to be Veritas Keenan starting to lead the way back over towards the Sonics. Maybe this could be the distraction that Oath can use to try to capitalize off of. Snakers goes down from an outside angle, and it is quick annihilation back over towards Oath. Veritas, Sonics lines up, and it's going to be the Prophet Poro trying to make a play off of this one. He's got the knowledge. Shrimsy trying to spot it out, goes down, and now it is just in the hands of Tiggleton himself. Looking back over towards Veritas, spots out 1, doing a dance around the car, seeing if maybe he can spot an angle, seeing if maybe he can get 1 more point to play off of, but it is a 1v1 position. Tiggleton walks away with it, 11 kills, and that is going to do a ton of work for their lead.
What can I say? What can I say?
That's it.
What can I say?
I guess this is the way it works. I call where the circles go, and you call who's going to be fighting inside of them.
For Adamas.
Love it. I love it.
It's almost as if you could tell it was going to happen.
Could be. But okay, there's a couple of big takeaways from that round.
Yeah.
Most notably,
I can see it
Tiggleton.
in the future. Second
Tiggleton.
notably,
Yes.
Tiggleton
Second
is-
I'll give you this one. I'll give it to you. You got it. You called it aggressively too. Like this is gonna happen. So I bow down to the knowledge.
Look, dude, 6 kills though for Tig. I mean, this one secures. Well, maybe it might secure it. The fact that they were able to win that 1v1, the full team fight against Gas Cans right off the bat was huge. And keep in mind that came down to a 1v1. I mean, at the end of the day, that was a straight up 1v1, and they came out on top. But that just goes to show you how close Gas Cans and Sonics are in terms of talent and skill right now. I mean, that's how close it came down to. But the fact that they got in the fight in the second circle, Gas Cans, their super aggressiveness and willing to push things early, that cost them. This time.
What I'm going to say is a big factor inside of this is I love the Gas Cans. Oath still picking up more points and might be able to turn this one around and slowly creep over and overtake the gas cans. So with this, analysts, give us a breakdown, give us the leaderboard, let us know what is happening as we still have 2 more rounds to go.
Whew, what a game. And before we get to the Sonics, who were the big victors there, I do want to give some love to the brass of the gas to be willing to go head-to-head with the Sonics at the start of that game. Because, gentlemen, that may have been the moment that determined the championship. The willingness to take that fight and go hard, it took a lot of guts on the gas can's side, Hypoc.
It did indeed. I mean, it really takes something to make ballsy calls like that on the final day of the grand finals. Do you know? All respect to them, because that's the way you win a series. If you're gonna play for the win, you need to make plays like that. It's absolutely heartbreaking that Sonics is the other team. But still, I mean, it was a crazy fight as well, swinging back and forth. Huge impact from HB and Honey Badger there.
And they didn't back off of it. They saw it was the Sonics. They knew it was the start of the game, and they knew if they went down, they'd be giving up points. But they went ham, and I respect it. In fact, let's go to the highlights, because I think that 1v4 attempt by Honey Badger will probably be the first thing up, Godspeed.
Yeah, and I mean, that was just a a wild fight, but at the same time, to kind of put in line with what Hypoc was saying, that is a tournament-winning decision. They knocked one of Sonics. They realized it was Sonics. They could have just as easily backed off and been like,
1, 2.
So beautiful. At the end of the day, though, it really did feel like it was kind of just Honey Badger actually versus the Sonics. With a really nice trade coming out from Mime there, but man, that the decision to take the fight and potentially get them out of the way and go for the points that they knew they denied Sonics was huge, and fortunately it didn't work out. Duel as well. I love this team to death. I love Wooly, Lynxy, Penta, Cherry, but it just didn't work out. I really like the play.
Scrappy.
Yeah, it was super scrappy. Nothing seems like it's truly uniform or planned, and it's unfortunate because I really like the play that Lynxy went for, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, shout out to Cherry though with 2 fantastic throws into the window though, the nade and the Molotov. But this was again one of the best end games we've seen. And you know what? If you're gonna go back to back on the last day of grand finals, who else but Tig to clutch up a 1v2 at the end with an org like a pub game? I mean, closing it out like that, they had no business making it into Circle 5 whatsoever. And, the fact that they were still a factor there, and they were spread so thin along that south side. I mean, Tig's off watching their flank, clearing up the last member of the Rumblers, and then trying to pressure towards Oath. These are all huge factors. And again, it takes big stones to be making plays like that in the end game.
Not to mention, Tiggleton literally killed the last Rumblers member with nothing but his 6th sense through the smoke. Let's take a look at the match leaderboard for that one, and I'll let you, Godspeed, start us off as we break this down.
Sonics won. That's no surprise. Oath, again, though, that's a big story, though. Oath is continuing to put up the points that they absolutely have to potentially compete, at least with second. And that's the big thing. I'm not saying Sonics have run away with this just yet. There's still 2 more games. Anything could happen. Sonics could unlikely have 2 very poor games, and Oath could continue to have great games and play as well as they are and potentially catch them. Everyone else, shoot to kill 2 points. It's not great. Tactical 8 may, unfortunately, kind of just stay on the bottom of this leaderboard. I hope not. I really like that team, and I hope they make something happen. But otherwise, this has really become, a 3-horse race, potentially even a 2-horse, depending on what happens in the last 2 games.
Godspeed, as we look at this, keep this up for just a second here. I want to point this out so people aren't hard on the gas cans, because theoretically, if they had beaten the Sonics there, if Honey Badger had managed to go 4, right? Then those 2 could have swapped spots, because they would have played the rest of the game from the same place.
Yep.
They would have made the moves. And if that had happened, the gas cans would be tied almost with the Sonics for first. So I want everyone at home to give them the respect they deserve for having the willingness to take that fight, to make their shot, to take their shot for first.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about that. Let's look at kills.
Yeah, it was an early fight with the lobby leading team, and they didn't back off. In fact, they pushed the gas even more. And it's not to be a pun, I guess it is, but they really floored it and wanted to get as much out of that fight as possible and wipe the Sonics. It didn't work out for them, but it was one hell of a try from Honey Badger.
But Hypoc, that's the kind of decision-making you want to see out of a top team, right? You want to see them play that way, whether or not it pays off, because it shows you their mentality is there.
Well, let's look at it. Game 1, right? They have some favorable circles, and Sonic's opt to sit in that compound. And you know, again, that's fair enough. It's the last day of Grand Finals. You know, you take the games that you're, I don't want to say gifted, but you know, you're supposed to win, right? There's always that catchphrase I hate using, but complete stark opposite. Second game comes round, and we're in a situation where both teams are actually fighting for that. It's fantastic to see. Like I said, it's almost poetic that it's Sonics and Gas Cans going at it in that fashion.
It is. I gotta respect it. That said, Snakers and Relo, Oath guys, put in a lot of work though, Hypok, because they had the high ground in Los Leones. They secured the exit for almost every other team.
Yeah, I mean, they were so well positioned. As soon as Circle 5, they had control of like 4 different buildings, 2 of them being high rises, and they were just able to hassle so many teams in Los Leones and, you know, crossing over from building to building as the circle shifted away from them. Obviously, I'm talking about when the east side was cut out. So remained really active through the mid game. Obviously, Snakers and Reload, their damage stats reflected in that. But it's unfortunate as soon as it comes off of that high ground, they have to drop down. I mean, we saw the scenario it was. I know Matron was very happy to see them driving vehicles over the edge of that cliff, but things went downhill from there for them.
Godspeed, as a player,
that was actually a completely unintended pun there, by the way. Sorry.
As a player, how pissed are you if you're Snakers? 953 damage and 2 kills. That's got to be irritating.
I mean, it's definitely frustrating to put that much damage or get knocks. You know, like you get multiple knocks and they either get stolen or they just get revived. But at the same time, I mean, I don't. In this context, maybe Snakers cares just because every kill does matter in helping them push forward. But at the same time, like Snakers will probably just do that again. I mean, that's just what he does. The kid's nuts.
They did a collective between those two, 1,500 damage, and got 6 kills as a team when they need the points. That's got to be frustrating. Overall leaderboard time.
Oh man,
Sonic.
this leaderboard.
Holy Christ. So, Hypok, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Take it away, Michael.
I don't want to say it's over, but it's looking pretty good right now if you're a Sonics fan, right? The only thing to consider is the disparity between the Erangel and Miramar performance. I'm not saying Sonics Erangel performance is terrible. They're averaging 7.3 points per game, but on Miramar it's 14 points per game after those two matches have come in. So there is some hope if you're still wanting the Gas Cans to win. Now, coming a bit further down from that, you run the risk of now Oath taking second place. Right. Because, again, we talked about that the whole time. The Gas Cans obviously were out of that previous game. Oath were climbing. They were closing that gap. So it's very scary right now. I don't want to say it's impossible, but there is still a chance that Sonics bomb out on Erangel because that's where we've seen some of their worst performances.
To just to bounce off that real quick, and then I actually want to get your opinion on this, Steve. I do think at this point it is just Guadalajara, Gas Cans, or Oath, though. I think any team that isn't in the top 3, even with incredibly poor performances to Sonics, I don't see another team passing them. It's gonna have to be Guadalajara, Gas Cans, or Oath.
I mean, the reality is yesterday, if you look at the numbers, Guadalajara had 1 good Erangel and Oath had 1 good Erangel. And, you know, both of them either one of those two would have to put up, 20 points per game with the Sonics falling off.
It's just...
And the reality of the math, and I hate
so
saying
many
that
factors have to come into play, which is...
Listen,
but it's happened before.
It has.
It's happened before.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, but it's happened with like FaZe catching Liquid on Sunday, like not.
All I'm saying is at the start of the night, I said one thing, and that was that Sonics statistically, and when we look back at the history, is the worst performing team on the finals day. The fact that they've gone back to back in games 1 and 2 makes me look like an idiot. But if we see some Oath circles, we know Oath are a team that they went 4 in a row on a finals day this year. So there is still a possibility. Again, we would be terrible, Death Coast, if we were to write this off after game 2 and then something happened.
Well, call me a terrible Death Coast, I guess. Because, I mean, I'm bad at math, but at the end of the day, I just have a hard time buying into them coming back. But hey, the Sonics last time went back-to-back 2-point games, Godspeed. So maybe.
I'm just saying it's not over yet. We got 2 games. Let's see what happens.
Right. You're right.
I still think Sonics are going to win, by the way.
Yeah. Why did you say that? I was thinking it at the same time.
All right. We got what we need for the peanut gallery. Let's head into the first match of the second half of the final day. It's time for the Angels of Erangel to take you through the match. Let's go now to Porosaurus and Matchroom for the call.
Thank you so much, guys. I love the fact that they're just like, well, we'd be terrible if we called this at this stage, and then just couldn't keep it together after that. So, all right, let's be real. 2 games
Anything
left.
can happen. 2 games left. Sonics
It
are
is
winning, by the
possible
way.
that Sonics could go out first 2 times in a row without getting any kills, or I would say at least 9th and below without getting any kills. Unlikely.
Could
Possible.
get 2 Milta circles back to back. Could get 2
Really-
Milli circles.
Really, what I've got my eye on right now is the Oath gas cans setup that we're looking at. 4
Yeah.
points separates them out between who's going to end up on second place. And we've been seeing gas cans be aggressive in Miramar and getting points. But as you noted yesterday, that's not their map. And Oath is just starting to, I guess, continue picking up more and more momentum to try to catch up to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, it's really hard to bet against Sonics when they come into the last day and they just bang out 2 back-to-back wins like that. I mean, like, what are you going to do? Like, we talked about it coming into the day, saying that Sonics typically, in historically have had bad days on the last days of tournaments before, and you got to give them all the credit in the world that whatever was going on, whatever motivation they needed to find, whatever it was, they fixed it. And they come in here and they get 2 back-to-back wins, trying to make sure there is no doubt who deserves to be at the top of this lobby. Now, it's not done yet. It's still possible, but we'll have to see.
I hate the term, but it is a Herculean task for anybody to catch up to them at this point. That doesn't mean it's outside of the realm of existence. I'll just remind everybody that there was a period of time where people thought, hey, last year, November, Grand Finals, everything like that, the global finals, people were like, oh, well, FaZe can't qualify, and they managed to do it in that last round. Picked up a ton of points. And we have seen North American teams be able to pick up around 30 points. Usually a big game for them is closer to 25, so it will take 2. But really, I have my eyes beaded in on gas cans and Oath. That is so close right now. And really, it's about a team that's always trying to make a statement for themselves in Oath and just wants to prove how awesome they are. And then it's the new kids on the block and the gas cans just trying to prove that they deserve to be here. What?
Matt,
What?
look at where the gas cans are going.
Where gas cans go. Oh, I like it. This is an interesting modification coming into play here.
So this is now they have been known to go to Zarki, okay, on certain planes. This plane,
Respectable.
No, not this plane. This plane, I think they would still try to go down towards Millie. I think. But they're already going to push ATC off of their 2-2 drop zone. But look at that circle. Oath, baby, let's go. You gotta. This is your circle, Oath. This is your time. This is your time.
That, but Zenith is hanging out right on top of them over on the other side of this. I think that Zenith is going to separate back down. Poon's already going to be in position. Knows the fact that they were back over next to Lippo trying to grab vehicles. I don't think that Zenith's going to have time to get any shots back over their direction. So they should be able to make their way back over towards Milta. The statement that I see coming out from gas cans, though, is the fact that it's time to fight. But oddly enough, there's a lot of small skirmishes already happening around Georgia Pool where shoot to kill is kind of forcing ATC even further away. So this play that gas cans looks like they were trying to go for to pick up kills early. Instead, it's just going to be shoot to kill next to them, and ATC is going to get separated distance.
Yeah, I mean, this is 100% gas cans. I think reading the situation, knowing that ATC did this 2-2 split yesterday, to kind of reduce, I guess, the risk of getting hard crashed by STK, like STK has been known to do. They've been sending 2 to Watertown, 2 to North George, and this time I guess gas cans just going to push them off. So good on ATC to be able to get to hot drop the vehicle and just get on out of there and not even have to worry about messing with it for now. But what's gas cans going to do now? They're looting up in North George. They know STK is right below them. This is a circle where STK would like to rotate to the north and come in from the north side. So can gas cans get their looting done quickly enough and maybe get into a position where they can do a little camping here on STK? We'll have to see. It's really all dependent on who loots faster here, who gets their looting done the quickest. STK is used to it. Gas cans, maybe not so much.
or if Shoot to Kill is even aware off of positioning, because we did see
They
ATC
should
kind of
know
get
off the
separated out.
shoots.
But I mean, gas cans did make, yeah, they saw a lot of people over there, but it really just comes down to what is the plan that gas cans are trying to do. We talk about it a lot. Force other teams to react to you. Set up everything in advance and force people to play off of your plans. And that is the secret to victory in a battle royale. Sure, it's great to have great reactionary skills, but if you can force what is happening inside the game and
For
take
sure.
control over it, then you win so much easier because everybody's playing your game. The question comes into play, how far ahead are gas cans looking right now?
Well, it's also how high risk are they willing to go? You know, how high risk, high reward are they willing to play
Yeah.
at this point? You know, they are about as close as you can get, but hey, 39 points, that's going to require a little bit more than just, you know, quote unquote playing your own game. That's going to require you going out and trying to find some more points where maybe you wouldn't have found them before. So, you know, that's a style that Gas Cans is very, very good at playing. So
Well, also,
you know,
gas cans is looking at the circle and they know it's an oath circle. Let's be real.
Yes.
If you've been watching North American PUBG, you're like, oh, this is an oath circle. So that means that teams that like Sonics, they don't have to be as concerned as much. They can just kind of take what's coming their way and just try to go for survival and kills. But gas cans know the fact that they cannot go out early here and they cannot go out. They have to get points because they know that Oath most likely is going to make it into the later sections of this game.
right. And then you add on to the fact that Sonics just won back-to-back games. So, you know, you're
Yeah.
not only thinking like, okay, this is looking great for Oath, but you're also thinking about Sonics, like, is really kind of on one right now. And you can see them already making their move to Potato Hill, most likely from here. Just do a little scouting. They'll move down to Death Road. This is kind of what their bread and butter is on circles like this. So we'll see where they end up. SDK, meanwhile, electing not to go north. So maybe reading the writing on the wall that time and seeing a 4-man squad drop in North Georgia and saying, okay, there's a pretty good chance that that's somebody we don't really want to mess with right now. So let's, instead of going north and wrapping north like we usually do, let's take it down to the south.
What we've got going on here is a chess game of IGLs, each one
Yes.
trying to figure out how the other one's going to counter move. These guys mostly know how everybody's going to move. So the way you get points right now is throwing wrenches into other people's plans, trying to force new repositions, be in places that you're unexpected at. And it looks like what Shoot to Kill might be doing. They're positioning back over there. They might be able to pick up T8 based off of rotation points. Dodge playing in a fairly strong position right now, but really it could probably be Comets that might be coming over towards harassing them. Fabled making a little bit of a northeasterly push on the road. Look at them being respectable, safe drivers. I like it. Usually it's mostly off-road, and as I say that, they cut off-road. But they got to be a little careful here. They're going to have Rumblers back over towards the north, as well as Zenith and Veritas back on their south, technically their southeast and southwest respectively. As you can see now, starting to have a little bit of trouble come their way as bullets are starting to rain back down towards their vehicles. Might be able to buy a little bit more space, but here in just a second, Zenith should also maybe have a firing line for them as well.
And Zenith already in that 2-2 split between the compound and the west cliffs of Prison. Looks like Fabled will send most everybody to the sniper tower, that little Harry Potter just to the west of Prison. Gregshot going to do a little spinny spin out in the middle. I think he probably lost a tire, but manages to salve it. So Fabled will 4-man it up inside the sniper tower. Meanwhile, here is STK. They've started making the long wrap down to Millie, and Civ is actually going to pass by Lush here. Luke 12 is the caboose in this STK train, and this might be bad news because T8 has kept their presence hidden so far.
Well, most of the players, this is kind of the tail end of the shoot to kill positioning. Luke 12 going to get tire popped out, but looks like he's going to get some distance. The other 3 members are up in front of him, so if he needs a little bit of support, might have Unciv turn around and pick him back up. There is a tiny section of Novo and the bridge that from military base that are in play. So we might be seeing Shoot to Kill just choose to like slow roll this one in. Usually Dodge playing towards the northern parts of this, and instead ATC says, nah man, I want this position. Rolls right back over on top of the Rumblers, but Sharpshot gets a little bit too aggressive with it and does get quickly taken down. Marsluk making the peek back around the angle, but there are just too many cars. There's no clear firing lines to work with. Norcus goes down as well from some shots from Los, but Aguila now approaching from the other side of the Sing. If maybe he can find some type of angle to work with. Who needs angles when you've got grenades? Just throw one in and see if you can get the play to come through. Marsluk now regrouping just a touch, but it's going to be a couple of shots out at range, and Veritas harassing ATC as they're dancing around the outside of this building, as that is a lot of cars in that garage.
They got a whole dealership in there. ATC had to come inside to get away from the fire that they were taking from outside. They're going to close the door and just hold down this one little room for the time being. It looks like Marcelic will try to hop out and reposition just a bit. Rumblers for their part. Oh, Los HD with the 6 shots from other side of this compound. Now it's all down to Marcelic as Norcus and Aguila just kind of bleeding out for the time being.
And this is not a safe position to play. If you've got control over this location, great. If you're having to fight around the outside of it, it's such a raised position. So many teams can see it from so far away. It's just going to make a lot of problems for you. Meanwhile, closer towards the lumberyard, you can see that it's going to be Sonics that have themselves a good position, but they've got a lot of very noisy neighbors around the point. And it looks like
oh my God,
still continuing to go back over here. And good Lord, this circle is going towards the east. This is an oath upon oath circle right now. There are, 4 teams inside of the safe zone right now, and it is just stacked up over towards the west. And notice, there's not a lot of good rotation points. Where Zenith is at right now, it kind of creates a bottleneck over towards the north. So that means that teams like Gas Cans and Illusion that are wrapping over towards the north can't really cut back down too far to the south.
I love this split that they're doing too. They leave 3 in mini power, and they leave Relo in the sniper tower just off to the west of Milton, Maine. We've seen them do this split once before, and they won with a bunch of points during the group stages. So this is a good setup for Oath. This is one that they know how to use, know how to play, and Relo knows how to play that solo position off in the sniper tower very, very well. So we'll see what the Oath can manage to get here. Sonics, meanwhile, they're trying to make their way in. You can see they're already lost Win and Mime, and it's down to Shrimsy and Tig as they wrap around on the coast. They've got T8 to deal with, but
this is a mess
from hardships as well.
Over towards the north, there are like 5 teams stacked on top of each other all along that little area. Sonic's wrapping back over. Shoot to Kill already made a path through here, so their long wrap definitely paying off as they're going to stop back behind the other side.
Relo's getting crashed.
Ooh, whoa, hey, William, no! Off the side. That's going to be a vehicle lost and going to have to try to rotate back over onto the other point. Sonic's now taking a couple of shots back over towards T8 as they come through, just dropping them out of vehicles as they come through this. More kills and more stacks just going to continue to pop over for Tiggleton himself, holding the lineup. It's continuing to be a mess. Oddly enough, William rolling off the side of that cliff might have bought his team a little bit extra safety. Meanwhile, it's just about Milta power right now. There are just teams stacked all along the coastline to the northeast.
I've been kind of keeping an eye on this. Relo's sniper tower got 4-man crashed by Veritas. He got 2 of them. It's just Jazza left. He got some support from Zenith as well. So Relo able to keep his position, staying alive for Oath here as Jazza pays the price here. But Illusion, you can see, has now made their way in. They're going on the coastline. We've got 2 teams inside of Milta Power proper, and one of them is going to be a 4-man squad of STK, the other 4-man of Zenith. So a lot of teams still trying to make their way in. Gas Cans have kind of stopped and stalled out on the north here before trying to head in. I think they realized they were coming in so late there was very little chance that there was going to be something there for them. And
this path is usually pretty open. Yeah, this path is usually pretty open, but it is not this time around. Sonics look like the fact that they're going to be pretty comfortable just taking this low end point. If they start to stretch their limb way back up towards the north just a little bit like Tickleton's doing, he might find himself in a little bit of a problem here. Punage is going to connect with Shrimsy on the backside of this, but it's going to be Light Show that has a little bit of vision to work with. Luckily enough, Tickleton has to turn back around to go for this res and narrowly avoids putting himself into a kill box location that Illusion had set up for that position. So, with this, I do want to give you guys a quick update. Rumblers did finally separate away from the last remaining member of ATC, leaving over towards Heaven, making their way back around. ATC still way out inside in the zone. It's slowing down-ish, but there's still a lot of shots getting knocks, but not leading to flushes at this point. You can see that the best parking brakes in existence right now finally giving up and going to go ahead and roll their way back down that hillside. Tiggleton's got Shrimsy next to him, but let's be honest, this is kind of a risky res to go for. But oddly enough, Shrimsy's capable of crawling this whole distance. Everybody's caught up on what's going on just to the north of this position with 3, technically 4 teams playing around Milta Power proper. They just didn't look this way.
Yeah, no, I mean, Light Show kept creeping over and creeping this circle. What is going on? Anyway, Light Show kept creeping and creeping and creeping and making it look like he was thinking about doing it, but he never actually committed. Here now we've got Gas Cans finally making their move. They're coming up on the side here. Comets have crashed Milta Minor, so Oath is trying to hold the line here while Comets does that. Meanwhile, Rumblers and Hardships fighting out in the south. This is going on outside of Circle. There's so many fights going on all at the same time right now, Matcham.
Yeah, okay, so here's the firing line situation that we've got going on. About 300 to 400 meters over towards the safe zone from this point. Rumblers have to be very careful as Hardships are now repositioning around. Hardships opting to not go back over that direction. Meanwhile, while this is going on inside of Factory, there's a little bit of a fight that's happening as everybody seems like they're starting to get their eye back over towards Oath, who is trying to hold up a defensive line, but it's Comets trying to make the aggressive play back over towards this. Oath looking back over remember, they still have their 2 kills based off of positioning, but everybody knows that how Oath wants to play this, and this is starting to be a little bit more problematic as towards the south, it looks like Dodge is aware of what's happening, but they're so close to the building, they don't really have vision up towards the top of it, which is where Oath is trying to play from. That means that they had to surrender the low ground, which Comets are trying to exploit. Moving around these lower positions, trying to make sure that they're fighting from covered points, looking back over towards Oath, who does have safety in a high position, but has to be very careful as they're slowly starting to get surrounded. Meanwhile, back in that fight that we were watching a second ago, Rumblers are separating out away from the Hardships, who did get control over that fight, and both teams now trying to make their way back into the safe zone after taking a little bit of damage on both sides.
I cannot believe Oath has managed to keep all 4 up still right now as they're getting hard crashed by Comets and Dodge on one side. Relo's tower got crashed by Duel as a 4-man squad now as well. So Relo getting a lot of action over there as the solo for Oath as we check back in down here. Comets will get that res up. They're back up to full strength. And this is all going on inside a circle, so they can afford to take their time with this, really, and they don't have to worry about pressuring. It looks like Snaker's going to go down to Yaxley, though, as now that fight has come out. And Houston Hardships will get finished off by Rumblers down in the south.
There's too many pivotal fights that are happening in so many different positions right now. You can see Olda's now looking back over towards One Eye Open, gets a couple of tap shots into and finally connects, gets one of them down. When Low is also going to go down inside of that exchange. The rest of One Eye Open now fighting from the blue, trying to make a push back over towards Fabled's position, but I don't know how well that's going to go. Quickly getting destroyed as they try to make their approach back over towards this. There's not a lot. This is a very landlocked positioning, as you can see that Oath, while they do have a position to play from this high ground point, trying to find some way to salvage and trying to get damage out on the teams as they make their approach. They have so many that are dancing down below them. The new circle has popped and is predominantly on the land, which we can expect. But the bay where we saw Tickleton playing just a second ago is going to be inside of safe zone, so he doesn't have to move too much. Pat trying to go for a reposition, I think, trying to see if maybe he can kind of get up onto that high point, as we've been seeing Oath very favored towards this higher positions. Still inside the safe zone, but let's be real, in a little bit of trouble, down to just 2 members and not a lot of good options to rotate through, as it looks like Dodge and Comets aren't content with fighting each other.
And meanwhile, on the other side, Illusion finally crashing down onto Sonics. Tickleton still surviving for the time being, so we'll see how long that lasts. Gas Cans again crashing on there. Well, there you go. Sonics is eliminated in 13th place. That's going to open the door. Oath, Gas Cans all still up here. Gas Cans finally crashing onto Duel after they finally dispatched of Relo. And now this is a hard push, though. You never want to push into these Harry Potter towers like this, but they have to. They have no choice. They got to go.
Oh! Walks right into the crossfire, trying to make the approach, and this is not what Gas Cans wanted. Just one member up, and Honey Badger, usually he's the guy that's trying to go for the breach, and he's the forefront aggressor. This time, he's back, doesn't have an angle to really assist, and Duel manages to survive that very dangerous push. But here's the problem. Honey Badger has nowhere to go. The only small benefit that's what's going on right now is the teams that have the best angle onto him are going to be down next to Factory, which is going to be where Oath, Comets, Dodge are all playing from, and they're kind of caught up with each other. That's the only reason Honey Badger managed to make this cross back over towards position. Meanwhile, Milta Power gets another team that's deciding the fact that they want to hang out in this location. That's going to be Fabled. So that means the fact that Marslick, the last remaining member for ATC, we're going to have Shoot to Kill playing from here, as well as Zenith. But it should be noted, but I think that we did finally see Sonics go down back over towards the bay position. And oddly enough, Liam is still alive, living inside the bay.
Oh, and here comes Honey Badger. He's dropping the grenades inside. He's going to find one down on the Penta. How many more grenades does he have? He's got 2. Oh, Balefrost.
Oh, the car!
The car!
Oh my god, I thought it was going to kill him.
So much damage, but he's staying alive for the time being. One more grenade is going to do it. Can he get it up in there? Yeah.
Good connection.
But it's not going to be enough to flush him, though. They got the res off. Here come the mollies, though. Oh, boy.
I mean, just throw everything you got at this point, Honey Badger. He's trying to get something out of this one. The problem is, Oath still playing from that high ground, as the repositions have now come through from the teams that were playing the low ground, means that at least you can see Balefrost looking back over towards this angle. That means that Honey Badger is going to have a lot of trouble creeping back over, because this is the specific way that we can see Balefrost taking a shot back over. Vegas is also going to connect. Honey Badger has no options. He's just going to get dropped as he walks through the doorway. Duel managed to survive the onslaught that gas cans were trying to bring, but here's the opportunity for Oath. They are surrounded. They're in a little bit of trouble, but they only need 3 points to catch up to the gas cans.
And they've got 2 kills already, but they are down to 2, as you said, a little bit of trouble. We'll see where the circles decide to go as we continue on. Looks like for the time being, everybody's kind of settled down a little bit. I do want to give particular shout out to William, who managed to swim all the way the hell. I mean, he's got himself. Swam. I'm talking.
He's got an island over there for himself. He's
from
just
the
chilling, dude.
Bottom of the peninsula on the south there. He swam all the way over to that island and somehow survived. So
he doesn't even have far to go to get inside the safe zone as the new circle does pop. He's just got to go hang out on the other side, and he actually has a predictive point to play from. So power to you, William, as any trolls in chat Smartselect finally does get spotted out and goes down.
This boy, the snake of the day, although I think Top Dog still has him by just a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see after Top Dog's game 1 performance. But William did pretty good in that one as well as a snake. So we'll see what happens going forward. Now, this is the problem, Matt. It all has now come down to this circle. Milta Minor is going to have to make their way out, and that includes Dodge, Comets, and Oath. Can Oath survive this? Can they get inside the circle? Can they do something about Rumblers? Even if they get a few kills off of this, where do you even go? There's a little bit of a dip there. There's a little bit of a place to hide, but I mean, the biggest problem, obviously, Rumblers. You got Illusion there that you have to worry about. I mean, this is going to be rough.
The small benefit is it is a target-rich environment, and if you only need a couple of points, man, there's a lot of people around you right now. And the benefit is none of this inside of the safe zone, so you're just gonna have to fight your way through it. And I think that Pat Caps is getting a read on how he wants to aggress over. Balefrost has left his high ground positioning, and it looks like Comets, who chose to aggress over towards his position and do some damage to Oath might be looking to get a little bit of vengeance back their direction. Molotov's getting prepped back over towards this. Do note the fact that Dodge's Danny G was trying to flank back around, seeing maybe you could find an angle. Whoa, Pat takes a lot of damage inside of this one and has to be very careful. Once this firefight starts breaking out, that means that a lot of these close teams are going to be aware of what's happening. Rumbler's very content just to mop up whoever leaves this position.
And now Pant taking damage from Leda as well, but Penta and the rest of Duel are going to spot out Comets on the outside of the wall here, so they got to be careful. And now Rumbler's getting involved. Dodge is going to lose Adam here. They're down to just Danny G. The circle is pushing. The blue is right on their backs. We'll see Danny G pushing in. Oh, Oath isn't even looking in that direction just yet. They've got full eyes and full focus on Comets. The smokes are down. We'll see if it stays alive for a little bit. Danny G going to find Balefrost, though, and Yaxley will mop it up, and that is it for Oath.
Now continuing on the path, they didn't pick up the points they needed to catch on, but there's still one more round to go. Danny G knows the fact that there is an enemy in front of him, but how is he going to contest with it? He's all by his lonesome. Not a lot of damage. Got hit back over towards Comets. You can see Vegas still holding up. Duel's deciding the fact that they're going to be a little bit more aggressive back over towards the ridge to the north. That's going to be a double factor, as 2 different aggressive lines could be firing at them. As you can see, Rumblers are now lining up. Comets trying to regroup. Danny G's just looking for a target and gonna find one, but it's going to be Vegas that gets the kill back over towards it. Comets got to figure out where they're going to go, as Duel now positioning back over towards Zenith, who are taking a lot of shots back over towards this angle. New circle does pop, and it's going to be southeast of Milta Power proper, still having a touch of the bay that is going to be in play from this point. Duel, where are you going to go from this now? Because you're going to have a trek in front of you, as Fabled has the last remnants of Milta Power proper to themselves.
And they pulled out of that fight with STK, somehow surviving, and now Zenith's going to put all their attention down towards Duel, and Poonage will find one, Kickstart will find one. It's all down to just Penta, who's just hiding behind the smallest bit of cover that they've got, and it's going to be that Dacia. We'll see how long he can stay alive there, as I believe they're probably close to, if not completely out of smokes at this point, because they tried to use everything they had just to get where they're at, and it was all of maybe 10 feet away from where they were, so not the best situation to be in.
Well, there's been a lot of fighting that's been happening back over towards the west. Remember Illusion that was kind of contemplating taking a couple of shots over towards Tig? They're in a very comfortable position, as you can see. Vehicle Explosion's going to finally take down Pentalol. Zenith's going to be able to reposition now. Rumblers finding themselves in a difficult spot. But again, Illusion, Fabled, and very strong points to play from. And oddly enough, don't forget about our boy Liam, our little scuba diver over there that's going to be in a good spot to at least buy himself a little bit more positioning. He's in a very comfortable spot by comparison to Rumblers, who just have nowhere to go. Looks like they're just going to double up in a buggy and just send it and see what's going to happen. Zenith's kind of caught up and looking for repositions. They're going to find themselves a little bit of an angle to work with, but Illusions do have a little bit of a spot that they might be able to take a couple of pot shots at Rumblers as they aggress up this hillside. Kickstart's going to go ahead and spot out one, but it's going to be Los, the front man for Rumblers, sitting on 8 kills, trying to see if they can find an aggressive way to move through, but no, it's going to be the prone shots coming out from Kickstart. Gaxy's going to try to follow up on it, but Kickstart still holding the line for his team, repositioning coming up back behind him, and it doesn't look too good for Gaxy as finally he's going to get dropped off from that point, and now it's going to be Zenith that has position and walls to play for a little while, but shoot to kill, making the aggressive plays back over towards Fabled's position.
Yeah, Fable been a thorn in the side of STK for a while now. They managed to knock him down to just 2 as Alo, Luke, and Purdy are inside the circle. They want to try to see how they want to encroach upon this position. They don't need to, though, so we might see them just kind of hold back for the time being. Meanwhile, Illusion, as you said, perfectly situated on that cliff, at least until the circle pulls away from them. Zenith doing a heck of a job, though, controlling all of that Milta power. They've got 6 kills already. They're feeling pretty good about things, but this is just one of those weird games, man, where it seems like everybody's going to have some kills. Nobody's going to come home with the lion's share, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a tangled mess as shift upon shift has come into play. Illusion going to get a little bit of favorable positioning inside the circle. Really just Zenith and our boy William. We know the fact that he can swim, but now the question comes into play, can he climb? Couple of shots now going to come out from shoot to kill back over towards Fabled, seeing the fact they're going to connect with them. Going to go ahead and take down Greg Shot and flush him quickly, buying a little bit more positioning to move through this warehouse. And here comes the push. The lineup is on the other side of it. A couple of quick shots going to connect back over towards Hella, and Fabled gets removed. But it's going to be Zenith that hears this and is now going to start to position back around where shoot to kill is trying to defend up.
Ooh, Kickstart got a little ahead of himself there. A little separated from the team, but he does manage to pull away, only taking a little bit of damage. As Illusion going to regroup on that cliffside and keep watching over. I don't know what there's not really much they can do from right here, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe try to send 1 or 2 up against the wall if they can manage it, which might... I gotta say, it might open the door for William to do something here, but it looks like he is perfectly content just hanging out on the cliffs there.
There's still a little bit of the bait. He doesn't have to move just yet. He can still just kind of float this one through and let Illusion do all the work for him. Really, we're looking at a 4v4, v3, v1, with William kind of being the odd man out. But the firing lines are starting to set up as it looks like finally Kickstart gets some vision back over towards Show, pops his helmet off to boot, which could be pretty problematic for these later game fights. Really, it's shoot to kill and Zenith that are very close to each other and might have to really deal with what's happening. It comes down to the fact that Illusion still has that hillside, you can see, where they can reposition around and kind of take multiple firing angles to work from. It comes down to the point of how much do they want to aggress onto this, and if they really want to inflict any damage on Zenith. Zenith, though, they've got goals, man. They're sitting on 6 kills. They know exactly where shoot to kill is at, and they see that as potential points, and they want them sitting up in position if they manage to pick up this team that will put them ahead of Rumblers.
William made the move I wanted him to make. He went to the beach. He's gonna find one. Let's go, William. He's down to half HP. He's gonna throw the grenade. He's got a dino.
Oh, he knocked the second. That is huge. That means the other 2 are going to have to move from position. You can see that they're crawling for that point. The new circles pop. Shoot to kill is not in a position, so they're going to have to make their way back down towards the south. This could be huge, though. With this, that means that Illusion cannot oversee this fight. They have to go commit back over towards those reses. They are inside the safe zone, but now everything flips back over towards shoot to kill. All pressure onto them. You can see Poonage lining up, getting the sprays back over towards the angle. There is a little bit of that outer wall. It looks like shoot to kill is trying to get some type of manipulation from. And with Illusion having to reposition away from that, they were taking harassing shots from them before. Now it's a little bit more open. You can see kind of where Icy Flex and the rest of the team are positioned at. Alo was hesitant to move through here, but that opens up this path and now could allow him to get into a flanked position on the other side of Zenith.
Woe was literally one tick away from death when they hit him. He had 3 HP left when they got when they were able to stick the res. That was almost a double kill there from Weem at the end. Barely able to get to Woe in time. We're not able to get to Show, and they get them both back up. So Illusion back up to 3 strong, and they're now trying to get back into position. But STK looks like they're just kind of snaking along the wall for the time being.
Punich thinks better of leaving his safety of fence there.
Probably
Steps around, takes a couple of shots. Top Dog, who we've been talking about quite a bit today, kind of the high ground aggressor right now for Illusion, and could find himself with a very beautiful angle back down towards Shoot to kill up. Yep, there he goes. First shot's going to connect. Then it's going to be Icy Flex that connects back over towards Punich. They've got the firing lines to work with, but Top Dog did go down inside that fight as well. It's going to be Kickstart playing the low ground advantage right now. It's going to be running through. Does spot out Luke, but Luke says, hell no, get that away from me. Roth goes for a counter pickup. Does manage to connect onto it, but it's got to be very careful onto this. Doesn't manage to get Luke down through it. So Zenith having to bounce from every single cover piece that they can find. Meanwhile, Shoot to Kill trying to get the res back over. Kickstart does go down inside of this. So we are looking at a 3v3v3 now as the reses do come back through. As it's going to be Wall, I guess, Oil Derrick position and High Ground Hill. And guess what? The center point of this circle is in the middle of nothing. You're going to have to fight your way through or use smokes, but Illusion knows that they have an angle for Shoot to Kill and are trying to commit to it.
And everybody is absolutely busted to high hell. I mean, Illusion was raining down death and destruction upon STK, and in the middle of that, they managed to get the double onto Zenith here. Shinboy going to try to go for the res as the blue is starting to creep in. It looks like he should be able to get away with it. Top Dog will find one. He's going to finish off STK, and Punich and Shinboy now will try to stay alive, see if they can maybe get something onto Illusion here, but they have only a little bit of time to use that wall. They need to land these shots.
Trying to look up that hillside. There's just so much smoke. Meanwhile, Illusion slowly creeping back down. They've got a smoke wall of their own, trying to get back down towards this tree. A very central point, trying to get an angle for it. Punich steps around the sideline. Icy Flex gets the drop back over towards him. Shots trying to connect from Shinboy, the last one up for his team, trying to find the angle, but there's just too many members of Illusion. Top Dog taking the front point for his team yet again, looking back over and through. You can see that Shinboy knows he's going to have to vault over this wall, and that is a death sentence for him. Trying to connect with some type of shot to find the angle, but it's not gonna happen. It's gonna be Illusion that takes our second to last round with 7 kills.
And Top Dog going to get the last kill as well, so he continues his fantastic performance from today. And what a game from Illusion. I mean, they do get probably the most lucky that I've ever seen anybody in the history of ever get by playing that cliff line. But I mean,
wait, more than Weem? More than Weem?
I mean, did you see those circles?
Yeah,
those
I mean,
are the wildest circles I've seen on a Miltus in forever. Every single one had a water in it up until the end.
I like crazy circles. We all know this.
Yes, you do.
I was a little bit like, maybe that's a bit too much. We were looking at like, okay. I like fun circles, and don't get me wrong, that's a fun one. But at a certain point, it can also be a little bit demoralizing as you're making your way through that, as a lot of these teams were just consistently chasing through. But that being said, man, Poro, we have seen some amazing games today so far, and we still got one more to go.
It's been nuts. It's been nuts, and to be honest, it's our boxers, to use Toffee's analogy, are just beating the hell out of each other up at the top of the leaderboard, trying to see what they can get. This game, none of them really got much of anything. I mean, Sonics went out early, but they did manage to get 4 kills. Gas Cans out right behind them, only 1. Oath on an Oath circle. On an Oath circle, the weirdest circle of all time, but still an Oath circle, 2 kills.
I mean, it was just a cacophony of chaos that was just raining down on everybody. As it was just as far east as you can potentially get. I know that our analysts are going to have a lot that they're going to want to discuss inside that one, from circles to just fights galore. So you guys, give us a breakdown on what you saw.
Speaking of cacophonies of chaos, if you also like playing in places that are challenging, you may consider a place hidden among the clouds, a mysterious and treacherous plateau called Paramo. It's home to untold secrets and an active volcano. This small-scale map will be a true game changer with dynamic lava flows and locations that change every time you drop in. PUBG Season 9 is available now. #DiscoverParamo. I'll tell you what, hashtag discovered, Illusion hashtag discovered Wimu as he snuck up on them from the bottom and almost cost them the game. But ultimately, the team with one of my favorite logos comes out on top, Godspeed.
Yeah.
Highlights!
Highlights. Illusion. They did it. They won a game. Unfortunately, I don't. I'm not being toxic. I just really don't think that is going to potentially, thrust them forward that much in the leaderboard. Hopefully, they can string maybe another one together. Again, this is not any hate, but they've really just kind of had a very middling experience here in the Grand Finals. We haven't seen too much from them, so it is nice to see them win at least one of the games towards the end of the Grand Finals. That being said, I kind of want to also point out this was wild, and Honey Badger again almost being the bane of a team by himself. If it wasn't for Yaxley shooting him in the back here, Gaxley also got destroyed by Zenith there. But Zenith is a team that I want to talk about a little bit here. They have been quietly staying consistent in the top 5.
Yes.
They have.
That's my point.
But, do you know what I was going to follow that up with? But that's about all they've done.
True.
Because it's not. And again, this is kind of similar to the point I was making about Oath earlier. It's still a bit of a disappointment because the ceiling of that team is so high. We know how much impact Kickstart's had in God knows how many games we've talked about them coming up huge, and the development of Roth throughout the year. I remember talking about Roth at the start of the year. I was like, this is a completely different guy that showed up to the MPL studio and played that back in 2019. But it's still been disappointing because with the addition of Punaj and Shimboy, I really thought I was like, okay, like let's go. Like Zenith is going to take it to the next step. And I hate to say it, but like they looked better beforehand. But they're no slouch. They are still hanging in the top 5, so you can't take anything away from that. I just want to see a bit more because I know they're capable of it.
They've been consistently upper middle class. Let's take a look at the leaderboard from that match. And I think this is going to outline something that's very relevant right now. A lot of us have seen the press releases coming out, the World Championship potentially just around the corner here. And it's going to become very important, I think, for these teams to start to prove, hey, I'm one of the best in North America. And Zen has had a good spot, right? Like it's nice to see him back in the top 2 in this game because I think there's been a great statement of, I would say it goes Oath. I would say it goes STK despite a bad performance, and I would say it goes Sonics, and Zenith has sort of been there, right, hovering around.
They've always,
This is the thing. I mean, sorry to cut you off.
No.
At the start of the year, we could have put a handful of teams in as like potential winners of these PCS phases.
Yes.
And for me, Zenith was one of those contenders to win a PCS phase at the start of the year, and that's why I say it, because I know how nuts Kickstart can be.
They looked good.
Exactly. They look so dominant at the start of the year.
But at the end of every PCS, I've never seen them in a shoot race like I saw the gas cans get up there, right? Like, that's my problem with them is they've always just kind of been a top 5.
Hey, if they can coast and get in top 5, fair play to you.
Yeah,
fair play to you.
It'll pay the bills. Let's take a look at the kill leaders. Godspeed.
Good old Los HG. It's it's nice to see him back up there. He's actually had some moments where he's been up there again. Rip, we expected a lot from not only him but Fabled, and I could say the same thing about
I just want, before this changes, I have to say, we don't see Rip up here very often, and that is a luscious head of hair.
Dude.
I need to give some respect to that hair care product
gorgeous.
line he's using. That's all. You go back to what you're saying.
I don't want to lose my Pantene, by the way. But regardless, I mean, Comets and Yaxley are up here as well, for the first time in a while, as well as Illusion. Yeah. And I really do want to talk about Illusion again, because contrary to my comment earlier, it wasn't meant to be toxic. Coming into this, I talked about Illusion and how much I like this team, especially with Show, kind of coming into the roster. They really started to look very, very good. And I was hoping that absolutely would have carried on into the Grand Finals. But, unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. And so, again, to at least see them win a game and show up on the leaderboards, I will say that on the leaderboards, they've been, showing up every now and again, but I had more for them. I had more for them in my head, and unfortunately, just hasn't been a great performance.
Hypok?
Yeah, I mean, damage was the same. The kills, bit of a switch up of scenery. It's usually a sea of turquoise over here, or I guess a sea of red if you're a Gascans fan. But good to see Kickstart top this one out. Just to come back to Lost as well, quietly an unsung hero. We haven't talked about the Rumblers a lot throughout this phase, and that's, I mean, I'll come out and say it, that's kind of their own fault, to be honest with you. But just shout out to Lost, because we know how deadly this guy was, again, back in MPL. He's been keeping pace with, like, staying in the top 10 overall kills. And I think that previous game actually will put him into the top 5. I'll have to. My boy CD6 will probably DM me in a sec, but just shout out to Lost, because that's always impressive for a team that we look at, that we say is underperforming. For one player to still excel, like head and shoulders above the rest, it is awesome to see.
Yeah, but he's a grinder. Like, anybody doesn't know, Lost is a grinder.
Absolutely.
So it's not a surprise to me when I see him pull out 5 and the rest of the team isn't quite there, because the kid's a grinder. Respect. All right, overall leaderboard, 245 for the Sonics with 1 game to go. Neither of you wanted to mathematically count them out or give it to the Sonics after the last game. How about now?
If the gas cans can wipe or Oath, hold on. If the gas cans or Oath can win the game, all right, with at least 33 kills, and Sonics goes out without a single point.
Oh, God.
I think this could be an exciting
Hold on. I have to point this out, okay? Our producer has 0 experience with PUBG prior to this tournament, and she's laughing in my ear right now at your claim that they could pull that off. Hi, Block.
I'm not going to say it's done and dusted, but no, I'm going to say it's done and dusted.
It's done and dusted.
After that now, like, I hate doing it, but we're now looking at the race for second. And ultimately, again, just in that previous game, just an important point to make, Gascans are still playing with heart. They had the opportunity to sit where they were, see another circle. They made that play for the Wizard Tower. And again, I respect that. Absolutely love to see it on the Grand Finals day. It's actually unfortunate there was 2 third-party factors that was the reason they died, other than the fact it was a pretty crazy push into a Wizard Tower. But I love to see that. I love to see the fact that they're not kind of getting in their own heads and just saying, look, guys, let's sit this one out. Let's wait and see another circle. It's been a real testament for Honey Badger and the guys to come out and say, we're going to switch things up. We're going to do something that's completely unexpected that people aren't going to see us coming. And we're now here on the Grand Finals talk about them sitting in second place.
I want to give a shout out to Jay Bowler, our admin, who tracked Williams swimming in that last match and said that in order to get that sneak attack,
1,300 meters,
1,300 meters of good old fashioned freestyle swimming. So why take a boat?
2017 meta right there.
Right, living the dream.
But totality we move.
Well, why did he have to swim? Why did it work? The reality is that was some jacked circles. Oath thought, hey, we got it. This is an Oath circle, and then it went into Milta Bay. Like, that was a pretty wild ending in terms of what we usually expect to see there.
I truly felt for the players when I saw that shift. For the first time as a caster or an analyst, I was like, damn, that sucks. Like,
I was just feeling sorry for Oath, because a lot of people will know Snakers is probably the most vocal about circles. To see that come out in Grand Finals in, the penultimate game, and then it get yoinked even further east, and they're the ones that die in big power.
That sucked.
It sucked, but I did smile. I did smile when that happened. I'm still smiling now thinking about it.
That said, though, I mean, you got to think about the amount of teams that expected Little Power to become far more effective, right? I mean, at the end of the day, when we saw people escaping from Little Power, there was 4 or 5 teams that were sort of tangled up in that mess.
It was like Comets, Dodge, obviously Oath, and everybody else that decided to pull up as well. Yeah.
And Illusion went to the Bay, which a lot of times ends up being a losing position because of the shift, and it works out. So, take bold risks, I guess, sometimes, and it pans. But that's it. We're going into the last game in just a minute or two here, guys. And I'm pretty excited about it. I was going to go to your final thoughts, but you know what? They're in the plane. So let's just go to the casters right now. It's the Masters of Milta. It's the final game of the day. The Kings of Clout are bringing you the cast. It's go time with Matchroom and the Porosaurus.
Are you okay, Poro? I don't know. All right. The Kings of Clout. I will take that. Does that mean that we chase clout, or that people chase us for clout?
I don't know, man. I'm just here. Fanboying over Oath nonstop, apparently.
I mean, chat seems to think so as we go through there. Just Oath fanboy, poor God.
Who would have thought? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I talk about a top 3 team with a.
We talk about Sonics because they have like a huge lead. Oh, look at Masters fanboying over Sonics. We talk about look at guys. We like a lot of these teams. We've known most of these guys regardless of whatever team they've been on. I mean, let's be real. I think everybody on this broadcast today.
Get it straight, Jesus.
That's right. You are a Gas Cans fanboy.
See how they've not figured this out by now. But, I guess at the end of the day, I have to kind of agree with the analyst desk. This is now probably officially a race for second because Sonics did what they needed to do, and they came
I don't know.
in here.
Did you see the math that we saw Godspeed bring out there? There still is a chance. Okay,
somebody get that man an abacus or TI-86 or something. I don't know.
There is a chance. There's a chance. But let's be real. It's a very unlikely chance. Really, we're looking at second place like you're talking about.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that too, because when you look at, and I think Hypok and actually the rest of the desk touched on this as well, when you look at what these guys have been doing today, Sonics obviously winning 2 in a row, doing what they needed to do to hold on. Gas Cans and Oath both going out of their way, changing up their play styles, realizing that what they needed to do was take high risk, high reward plays. Now it didn't go their way this time, right? And that's just how it is. But that's what they needed to do if they were going to get the win, right? So you can't take anything away from what Gas Cans and Oath have been doing up until this point. Now, obviously, since it is a race for second, you look and see what Gas Cans are going to do to make sure that they can hold on to that second place position, or what Oath is going to do to try to reclaim that. It's only a separation of 3 points.
This is an interesting plane path because I don't know, Poro. I've been using my powers for evil, and apparently I stretched them too far in that last round, looking for evil circles. But the plane path has the potential to set up some interesting circles as we look through here. Don't be surprised if we see teams go for their normal drop spots. No surprise there. Gas Cans back down towards military base just due to pathing as it moves through. ATC now back over next to North George. Going to be a little bit more calm and kind of relaxed as we move through here. But there is also kind of a lot that's going on over Rajak right now. People are probably going to stretch through. I don't think that'll be too big of a deal, but the real question comes into play is where is the circle going to go? And that's what I was kind of feeling pretty centered this time around. Last round to move through here, Poro. We got to give everybody a fighting chance.
I mean, yeah, but let's why not put Sonics dead in the center here for the victory lap as they get a beautiful.
They never hang out in Pachinki after a couple minutes. But
look, hey man, this is still a great circle for them. Let's be real.
It is.
And that's fine. That's fine. Like they have done everything that they needed to do to secure this thing, and they are. I think this is where you start looking at that argument that we were wondering about coming into this. Oh,
look on the map real fast if they can bring it up. Oath looks they had to make a little bit of a reposition way up towards the north. Yeah. They are north of Stolber looting right now.
Yeah, they weren't getting a Milta.
And so, I mean, that based on the fact that the plane path and how it went through there, that's no surprise. But remember, we are predominantly looking at the fight for second. So Oath being on a little bit of a trash looting strategy to start this off could be a kind of a thing to keep our eye on as we look towards the middle sections of this and seeing how well they are equipped.
Yeah, I mean, some definitely some weird things, and obviously it's not just the fight for second here, right? There's still
Zeniths and Rumblers are tied right now.
Exactly. There's a lot of prize money on the line here, especially when you're looking up towards the top 8, top 7. I mean, top 8 really. Every single position can be the difference between $4,000, a couple thousand. I mean, there's a couple of everybody's really still fighting to try to get the most positioning that they can on this last thing. That's why, I'm looking over at Duel, right? Duel, this wild up north drop here. And I'm wondering if that's just trying to avoid Zenith, because Zenith drops all around Shelter right there. Duel usually in Milta, they have a tendency of running into each other from time to time. Duel just avoiding that altogether, considering they are just separated by 10 points right now. And as you said, Rumblers and Zenith tied at 147 apiece right now.
Shoot to dodge too.
Shoot to kill and dodge as well. So
I mean,
the
middle of the pack is pretty tight. I mean, I know people were kind of memeing about the fact that Shoot to Kill was talking about the fact that it is capable for them to step up into that fourth place position. Shoot to Kill have a great game this last round. It is highly possible. And yes, I know Illusion. They're not fighting for first. Let's be real on that. But that was a big game for them and a very much needed set of points for them to walk away with to move into a position to now be tied with Comets. There are a lot of little independent ties that are kind of happening all over this place. And this round is very pivotal for that money that you're talking about because naturally we do know that DreamHack's coming and then we know that the PGIS that's going to be happening after that was announced. But every little bit of money that you can stack up now is kind of moving into Christmas. You want to make sure to give your family some good Christmas presents.
Heck yeah. What do you want for Christmas, Matt?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm starting my list early.
About it. I mean, you already got yourself a nice VR headset, so I'm kind of contemplating
I did.
It looks pretty sexy. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man, I cannot wait to go chase spooky ghosts wearing this thing. It's going to be fantastic. Actually, it's probably going to be more entertainment for everybody I'm playing with than it is for me.
I'm going to laugh and laugh. It's going to be amazing, and therefore only kind of fair to do it back on the other side of it. But let's see how we're looking at. Yes, guys, I know we're talking about VR headsets and stuff like that in the grand final match, but it's just because it's kind of quiet right now. Let's be honest, nobody's died at this point. Whenever we're watching Shoot to Kill kind of make their way up Everest, it's kind of calm.
Allow us the briefest of segues. Okay, so you want something to talk about that's relevant. Okay, first place, $50,000. Sonics, they're pretty much set, right?
Yeah.
Second place, $30K. Third place, $24K. So we got a battle for $6,000 going on between Oath and Sonics. Look at fourth place with 20, fifth place with 16.
You get that barn.
There you go. Sixth place, 12,000. Seventh place, 10,000. Eighth place, 8,000. So look, hey man, a lot of money still on the line. A lot of things still yet to determine, other than just first place. But I was about to touch on this earlier with you. Does this now make for the longest time this year in 2020, STK best team in North America, hands down. Not even arguable. PCS2 comes around, Sonics wins, and everybody's like, okay, now there might be two. There's an argument. STK then comes in group 3, or PCS3 group stages, wins that hands down, and now looking at Sonics back-to-back championships, are we comfortable saying Sonics best team NA, hands down, no question?
I mean, it's been pretty dominant so far through PCS3. If anything, it feels like their momentum constantly picks up. Their synergy just constantly gets better as they progress through this. I feel like as of right now, at this moment in time, you do have to say that. Now, by comparison, whenever we look at gas cans, there's a lot of room for them to grow inside of this position. They still have a lot more options to continue to move up. So when we're looking at what's next, that's where I start to get more interested because we've seen Oath readily competing for those top 3 spots. I mean, Duel is now having its own rise to infamy as they make their way through here. Zenith, Rumblers, all ahead of Shoot to Kill. And, I mean, let's be real. We're still not even done. There are still chances for Shoot to Kill, Rumblers, Zenith to have a good game inside of this themselves and move up into that 4th place position. Or, if you want to do some Godspeed math, they only have to kill 40 people and get a round win, and maybe they can compete for 2nd.
Easy. Well, that adds the next question too, now, doesn't it?
I just feel good because everybody picks on me about my math, so I'm just gonna ride this and like everybody be like, look, Godspeed math, not math.
Well, looking at gas cans and the performance that they've put out in this PCS3, do we put them up at the top tier now? It's been one grand finals. They finished 11th in group stages.
That's my question. Whenever we look back across North America, is we often see breakout first attempts whenever we look at series all the way going back to NPL and things even before that, where a team would gel together, they'd have a great run in the very first event, and then the second one not so much, and then the third one a little bit less. Now that being said, I don't know, gas cans feel like they're having a lot of fun playing together, and that's extremely important. Same thing goes for Sonics. Shoot to Kill,
well, everybody's having fun when they're playing well.
Yeah, but that being said, whenever your team all has a similar mindset and a similar approach into the game, I think that gives your team a lot longer lifespan and much higher growth potential than, oh, we got the best fraggers and a good IGL.
Yeah. I mean, like even with this performance, I don't think it's at all arguable. STK still top 3, top 2 even. I mean, William the hero.
Be free.
It's weird seeing him actually on land.
I'm doing seat swaps around. He's feeling frisky, man. He's vibing right now. He's like, I got goals. He's just looking around on the hunt. Like, look at the way he's approaching in. And that's with a bolt on top of that on the back of a buggy. Yeah, kudos to you if you hit that one.
Luscious locks blowing in the wind as we wait and see where Circle 2 is going to go. And okay, let's give it right to Pachinki. Why not?
Sonics are running what looks to be a 1-1-2 split across the way. So they're going to have a lot of control over Pachinki itself. Gas cans back over towards the south. Other notables are going to be Oath coming in back behind where you can see the... well, actually, it's going to be Pat Caps now driving, so it makes it a little bit easier. Just look to the left of where you see them driving, and they're going to be coming into circle. Most of these teams pretty fortified, but the area that we really have our eyes on are going to be Pachinki Hills back down towards the southwest of Pachinki itself, and most notably that area where we already see Gas Cans playing from. Those are both very popular positions for teams to try to rotate into a circle like this.
Yeah, a lot of space to be had right now. Now, I will say STK getting a little bit close to hard shifts towards ruins there, and other members of hard shifts have already left. So this is essentially a 4v2, and they're going to open it up already with a down on a Maluk. And Chuba is just going to hop into the vehicle and try to get on out of there. You can already see he's been knocked very low. We'll see if he can actually get out of this, or can they spot him before he gets
you made
gone.
The fatal mistake of killing Maluk first on hardships. Now he can just watch all of his teammates and just micromanage. As Chuba
Mr.
runs
Burns'
off into the
fingers
distance.
just sitting together. Yes.
Give me exactly what I wanted to do. Gas Can's now making a look back over towards Dodge, who's holding down a nice defensive position at the time. No real third-party potentials really just due to the hillside. Maybe Oath might migrate back over towards this direction, but it's all about the aggression on how Honey Badger and the rest of the crew want to play this. Good shot's going to go ahead and connect from him. Take down Finna, and the grenade's not going to do a ton of damage. The real question comes to the fact that look that it is a full split coming out from Dodge. That means that this res is probably not going to happen. The problem comes in the fact that they have nice side angles as Adam comes up big and gets the shots back over towards Honey Badger. And you got to be very careful as he's taking a ton of damage, but it looks like Gas Cans should be able to get this res. Oh, no, they're not, actually. That is pretty big because Honey Badger does go down there. So they have to be very careful from the repositions coming up from Dodge.
Yeah, well, now Adam is taking fire from Oath, so he's going to have to make his way around. Finna will get flushed out, and that's going to do, or finished off rather, bleed out, as Gas Cans now have a spot inside Dodge's compound. Adam is in the middle of a smoke cloud all by himself, though. There's not going to be a whole lot that the squad can do to really support him for the time being. Meanwhile, Gas Cans, where did their last player go? Did they lose two?
I believe that they're all just stacked.
Oh, Voxic DC.
Ooh, that's. Oh, did that happen as they were making the approach?
He was on. Oh, he reconnected. He was.
There we go.
Okay, all good. We're good. Yeah, he was on the hill, so he has now just reappeared. He is all back in.
Why you gotta make me clench my butt cheeks like that, boy? We're in the fight for second right now. I got all nervous. Jeez.
Oh boy. Oh, well, it's fine. He's back in. Meanwhile, Dodge is going to leave the compound and at least pull away from Gas Cans right now. Adam, though, still in a rough position. He has found a shed that he is going to be able to play around for right now, but it looks like Oath is hungry.
Do you know the fact that Dodge are running a 2-1 split now, and Duel coming up back behind the position that we can see Oath trying to position at.
It's not so much a split as Adam is just stuck.
Yeah, he's got himself. I can't tell. Yeah, he's pretty okay there for now. Question comes into play is how Duel wants to handle this. Running this 2-2 split coming up from Oath means the fact that Duel can run right in between him. Pachinki staying due-centered as if Circle Karma now rewarding back. It's like, okay, guys, we went everywhere but the middle. This time we'll just give it to you straight. Keep it very simple. Play around Pachinki, and the Badlands and Ruins should be noted are still inside of play, as well as a smidgen of school.
Can Sonics get the three-peat as their victory lap here? They are going to go ahead and reposition back into Pachinki. We see Duel making their way in on this southeastern edge. Oath was very split here, trying to go after Adam, so looks like they're going to avoid it for right now. But now Voxic has been spotted out. Oldless will go down as Tactical 8 coming up over the hill. Nikos will come up and provide some support. Hopefully Voxic can hold it long enough for Nikos to get into position. Oh my God, William.
What? Just T8. What are you doing to everybody? They're like, okay, if we don't win, we'll just make it to where nobody else wins except for Sonics. Inflicting casualties back over to the gas cans, and there you go. If you're an Oath fan, You're going to be pretty excited. Only 4 points needed now to surpass Gas Cans and get that extra $6,000. Rumblers now holding down the apartments back over towards the east of school. Fabled's going to be making a position back around from them as, again, our team's back over towards the southeast, trying to find some type of approach angle as it looks like Duel's just going to separate out away from Oath, allowing them to regroup and potentially allowing Dodge to regroup as well. But Dodge has a new set of goals that look like they want to get a little bit of an attack back over towards T8 right now.
We see a lot of action going around. Pachinki here is Win just scouting out. Looks like he might have a pretty good idea where Comets is. Here we go. Duel continuing their wrap down from the south up around the north. They're going to get shot at by Zenith, keep their wrap going, but they're not going to find a lot of entrances once they get up to the northeast either, because you have Illusion, Rumblers, Fabled all hanging out there as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a trick here for Duel to find a safe way to get inside of this circle.
Well, that's kind of the factor that we're looking at. We still have 58 alive, 15 teams. The problem is this is just slowly and steadily simmering, and it's about to boil over. There's not a lot of good options for these teams as we continue to just push back in towards Pachinki. We've got the fields surrounding Pachinki itself. The hillsides back over towards the south are good, yes. But then there's the Badlands and that road and a couple of buildings along the way towards the north. And it looks like Wooly has a goal on how he's going to come through here. Just runs right over as he comes through the Rumblers, just taking him down. Pentalil does go down inside of that exchange. But this is pretty open. Los does have himself an angle to work with, as well as Waldo back down that hillside, but it's not very clean. So with the vehicle positioning coming through there, might be able to get a little bit more space. There's also going to be a grenade toss coming out from Dodge to land right back over next to Pat Caps, as Oath do have themselves a little bit of an area to work with, but they moved directly in to get surrounded by Dodge's positioning. They could find themselves picked apart, and they have to play this very, very carefully as the circle again continues to shift back towards Pachinki.
They've already got Pat Caps down. Can't worry about getting the res right now. They got to worry more about figuring out where everybody is. Haxetti from Fabled also going to be shooting down the hill on this, as Fabled still holding their high ground. We'll see a few shots going to come out. They're going to spot out the flanker and Lampalot, but now Snakers is going to get spotted by Adam. Adam coming from the low side, taking Oath completely by surprise. And now Relo and Balefrost, the only ones up. They've got smokes. They've got a little bit of cover, but that's about it. Dodge has the clamps put on.
Oh, there's not a lot of good options trying to figure out how they want to handle all this. Adam's got himself a very sneaky little bit of an angle to play, but Relo does know where it's at. This is just all an aim battle right now as Oath knows that they're firmly surrounded. Danny G connects back over towards Balefrost, leaving just one up. Is Dodge going to commit to this? Is this how Oath is going to go down? Relo says no. He's going to try to make some type of play. He hops into a vehicle and he knows that he's going to be running into a potential bloodbath. Everybody is crashing back over towards Pachinki. He's trying to make his way up the hillside. He's going to start getting spotted out by Fable, and it's going to be Haxetti starting to take a couple of shots back down through this. He knows that maybe he can get some distance back. He crests the hill, gets a little bit of positioning away, but here's the problem. There's nowhere really too good to go. The buildings right next to him are not inside the safe zone. He continues to have to roll down through. He is going to stop, but this is not safe positioning, and Oath goes down. That means that Gas Cans are going to cement their positioning for second place.
What a shot by Rip. Absolutely destroyed him. I thought he was safe. He made it to the compound. He gets inside and Rip just puts him apart, and that is going to be Oath ending their campaign in third place. Wow, that was close. That was close. Gas Cans also obviously breathing a sigh of relief, but it's not over yet, guys. We've got a lot of teams trying to make it in, and look at all the action we've got on the north side here. Penta gonna finish off the show.
What the hell is happening here? Trying to reposition around.
For Duel already.
I don't even know. Pinta does get spotted out, but that's going to be from Luke 12 off at distance. Looking back behind this, they're back over towards the southwest of this position. Now Wooly all by his lonesome. Duel's managed to pick up a couple of kills, but I think they're going to end up a little bit of shy away from trying to attack back over towards Oath's third position. Do note the fact that Zenith and Rumblers are tied for this point, so that means the fact that they could potentially crest back up and catch up to Duel's positioning. Illusion, who have just been constantly doing so much work today, Top Dog himself, as well as Woe trying to find different angles to work with. Top Dog does go down. ATC still trying to play on the other side of this. Not a lot of good angles to really for any of the defenders to work with, as ATC has the numbers advantage, but shots from range are causing a little bit of trouble, and that's going to be Veritas back over towards the southeast from this position. All the other teams are back over, and whoa, has to just barely dodge that one out. does get taken down, does manage to dodge the vehicle, but it looks like ATC's vehicle caravan of death is going to continue.
Matt, we have half the lobby is inside of Pachinki.
It's Pachinki right now. I don't even know.
8 teams.
I said I wanted an urban ending. I wasn't expecting it to be Pachinki, though.
Of all the freaking places. Well, right now, we have to see where this next circle is going to go. If it falls on top of Pachinki, you know it's going to be. You know it's going to be.
Do it.
No,
Do it.
No. It's going to keep it in for right now. It's not leaving Pachinki till the next circle. That's when it's going to. And you know what's going? You know who stands to best to benefit off of that if they can hold strong right now?
Yeah,
well, Sonics and One Eye.
That's also good positioning coming out from them. Veritas also has a good, strong position back over towards the northeast. Shoot to Kill has themselves a little bit of a place to play as well. Not a lot of teams are really going to have to move inside the circle. Really, it's just Shoot to Kill, the last member for Duel, Wooly, ATC, and Veritas kind of has to regroup. So, I mean, you can see Dodge not too comfortable in position. There's a couple of grenades being tossed back and forth. I don't think that we'll probably see One Eye get too aggressive back over here because there's just too many different firing angles to work around. I mean, you can try to continue to throw out grenades, try to get more damage off, but if you leave your building inside of Pachinki, it's its own quarantine right now. You just don't want to leave those houses because if you do, it's going to end up bad for you.
Loeb's doing a hell of a job protecting his squad from the push from One Eye. He's going to get the down on a Delta. That's going to force One Eye to pull back a little bit. Meanwhile, you can see ATC on the move. Veritas going to spot him out, but it's going to be long-range shots. ATC might be actually pulling right into STK, and STK regrouping at the exact same time on the hill. You can see the dark green versus the light green. Michael will find a Gila, though, from range, and there's always still the factor of Wooly, who's snaking right behind there for Duel.
Got to be careful. ATC's trying to reposition right up next to him. Sharpshot's just going to try to find the angle, but no! He's going to hit a quick headshot to polish that one off. Sharpshot buys himself a little bit more space, but Veritas is harassing the side of this the whole way through. Michael is just raining in bullet upon bullet back over towards ATC, and it's been making their life miserable since they won that last fight. Shoot to Kill does have a little bit of positioning to play around, but they're caught in their own little bit of a problem. It's a little bit difficult for them to regroup back over at the edge of the circle just due to ATC and the way that they're playing this. Luckily, Sharpshot looks like he's trying to go ahead and reconnoiter back over towards the rest of his team, allowing Shoot to Kill to firmly regroup. The issue comes into play is ATC is inside the safe zone for now, but you can see they're not in any form of comfortable position to try to play from.
It ain't great. And you see Michael still has an angle there. Check back in with STK. Civ has himself an AWM. And I love watching Civ play with an AWM. Love watching our Bolty boys anytime we get a chance to. Well, it looks like STK going to do a little bit of repositioning here. And will they be the 10th team now to make it into Pachinki? Why not?
They're trying to encroach over there. One Eye opens, making it a little bit difficult for him. Marslick does go down as Veritas is continuing to harass off to the side of this. I mean, really, Veritas has control over the north, shuffling away ATC and Shoot to Kill from positions that could be aggressed upon. So if we do see this shift back over towards the north, it's going to be problematic. And there's a touch of a reposition coming through there. Veritas is still very comfortable, but guess what? If you live in South Pachinki right now, your life's about to suck.
You got to cross the street, buddy. That's going to be some tough sledding. Veritas looking pretty nice for this late game here with all that space they've got up to the north. STK going to make the push in, and Manhardy going to go down to a classic STK throwable. We've seen those in the past, haven't we?
Is it finally happening? Are we finally starting to see STK pick up a little bit of momentum, playing off the back foot? Purdy does get flushed out back behind this. Looks like we do also see Rumblers bouncing into T8. It's going to be a careful background through this, but let's be honest, Fable's already holding down position. Comments on the other side of the road as well.
Ooh,
Dodge also trying to find it. There's just not a lot of good options. So at this point, you can see a lot of these teams just committing to try to get kills. See if maybe they can use that to get a little bit of separation. Rumblers getting a little bit more active, running through. They know exactly where the last member of T8 is going to be at, but it's going to be Rip from Fable that's providing assistance to Zealot. Looking back through that little bit of a gap. Back behind him, he does spot out Dodge, but Zealot doesn't have a lot of options to work with. Quick spray connects and does manage to take down Dodge. Zealot's just living through the chaos that's landing around next to him, is on fire, trying to buy a little bit more space, but I think his health was high enough before that connected that he should be fine. Slowly ticking up meds off of the stims. Going to go ahead and opt into a first aid because he knows he's about to have to move. The blue wall is coming in back behind him. Waldo is committed to this. He wants to try to see if maybe he can get a little bit more distance from Zenith, who are only 1 point behind them at the time, but they are already comfortably inside the circle. Zealot, who's been on fire, quite literally trying to find an angle to work with, takes a couple more shots, has to try to reposition away from it. Rip's going to go ahead and connect back over towards Waldo, so Zealot is going to get a little bit of free liberty to work with. Civ does go down on the other side of this with Shoot to Kill looking back over towards ATC, trying to get the res back over towards it, but has to be careful as Veritas now contently in control of the north, separating back behind ATC and wanting to just kill them all off.
Hardships will find Luke 12. Uncivil is going to be bleeding out. He should be able to get the res here from Alo, but you can see the throwable still coming in from Hardships. ATC, meanwhile, cannot continue their push on the SDK here because Veritas is pulling them from the behind. Now, Detreats has gone down. Detreats has gone down to Tig, so that's going to halt Veritas's push. Everybody fighting all over the place right now as Fabled is also getting aggressed on by Comet. Zealot's still alive. Veritas going to get the res onto Detreats here. ATC, meanwhile, they're going to lose one. Marcelic will bleed out. Sharpshot still down. Norcus, the only one up here, and he wants to see if he can get something off of his STK, but they managed to get all 3 reses back up. Matchroom.
Nerves of steel coming up from Norcus. That grenade probably landed right in front of his face, but he stayed committed towards it. The fight going on over towards the north and the west are really establishing about half the control over this circle. New circle pops, and it stays down close to Pachinki. Shoot to Kill, Hard Shifts, ATC, all going to have to move just a little bit further. Luke 12 looking back up over towards the church, knows the fact that high ground advantage is going to be a problem for them and how they're going to play this one out. They have to be extremely careful. Sonics still in a firm 2-2 split control position as J-Sank trying to find the angle to play with. He wants to come up and finish off Shoot to Kill, but Luke 12 has another thing to say. Takes a ton of damage, but does manage to drop down J-Sank. Now just contending back over behind this Chubba, starting to make the play for this, knows the fact that there is a damaged Luke 12 in front of him. Crest up over the top of the hill, but it's going to be Civ that's raining in the damage. Does manage to take him down, but Chubba gets a little bit more work put back over towards Alo, and now there are just 2 left up for a SDK. Well, make that 1. They're going to go ahead and get taken out. Norcus does survive, ATC being the last surviving team other than Veritas over towards the north. Meanwhile, inside the safe zone, we've got Comets, Sonics, and Zenith.
It seems like we had 12 teams just moments ago, and now all of a sudden it has dropped down to just 5 as this wild circle finally comes to its conclusion. Sonic's still up, still 4 strong, 3 kills on the board, and they have to worry about Zenith and Comets to their south. But Veritas, they're actually crashing. They're crashing in here.
They've got goals, and they roll right by Sonics, who are very aware of the fact that Veritas has been active out there. The problem is they're in throwable range, and this is a little bit problematic for what's going on. Getting on near on no life, 2 members already down for Veritas. They did manage to make it inside the zone, but by God, there is a ton of death and destruction coming their way. Just narrowly hiding back into the corner. Jazz is going to buy a little bit of relief for himself. Keenan down on the outside, going to go ahead and get flushed. So just 1 now remaining for Veritas based off of that positioning. Do you notice the fact that Norcus did manage to make it inside the safe zone? So now we have the 2-2 split coming up from Sonics, as well as a 1-1 split coming up from Zenith. And well, no, I'm sorry. We have a 2-2 split coming out from Sonics, a 1-1 split for Zenith, and we have Comets back over towards the south, who do have control, but have probably the most difficult position to play at the time, just due to how all of the fighting is breaking down.
Veritas, I mean, their positioning wasn't great on the north side. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to play around, but the full send ending up costing them 3. It's all down just to Jazza now, as we've got 2 solos in Jazza and Norcus. You got the 3-man of Comets, the duo of Zenith, and of course your front runners, your PCS3 champions, presumptive champions, pretty easily presumptive champions.
Presumptive might be a little bit.
I'm pretty comfortable calling them your PCS3 champions, back-to-back champions with 4 up, and they have the circle.
I mean, this is a statement if they win this round. To win this many rounds on the last day of competition. It's a statement
to how great it is to loot Pachinki and have the circle fall right on top.
I mean, to be fair, they also do make sure that they win in scrims and in games enough that nobody wants to contest them for it. Comets have quietly been picking up kill upon kill, sitting at 5 kills right now. They do have a little bit of their building in play. Now, the real catalyst that we could see are these damaged teams that are hanging around. We still have 11 alive, but we do have Zenith that has 2 still up, and the 2 solos who are, oddly enough, pretty close to each other. Jazz is pretty close to Sonic's position, but Nork is coming up back behind that. Comet's positioning are really the most troubling right now, with the exception of maybe Punage. Punage also just has to figure out some way to kind of contest along the positioning. The real only hope that these teams have at the time is if all of them have to push at roughly a similar point and can distract Sonics on so many different angles, they can try to make something happen out of this. While Sonics do have a great positioning to play from, they are the targets for every single one of the other 4 teams remaining right now.
I mean, it looks like for the most part, Sonics, everybody on their team has either a specific person that they know where they're at, or a specific angle that they're all looking to hold. Here is H-Win obviously holding the angle where Vegas just ran through, because he got absolutely destroyed with the barrel spray. Comet's in a little bit of trouble now, as you can see. I mean, Sonics just has this thing completely locked down.
I love the counter throws of Molotovs into the smoke that Comets was trying to lay down. That denies any approaches they come through. Taking that tick damage as they're trying to make their approach will just absolutely wreck them. They're denying any form of approach on that angle. So one of the second strongest team that still had members up, quickly just getting demolished on multiple angles. You can see that Lada's trying to find some way to approach through, but there's just not a lot of options. Shrimshy's got the angle for it and drops them down, leaving us with just 4 squads remaining in our final round. Make that 3, as Veritas has 1 member up. Zenith only has 1 member up, and I wouldn't be surprised if Poonage gets flushed out here very quickly. Throwables now coming out from the other side as Mime is going to try to contest back and deny Zenith any form of approach. Shrimsy's kind of the front man, just bouncing from wall to wall, decimating anything that approaches. And Veritas, you fought for the North. Well, guess what? Now you're going to have to fight your way out of a 1v4.
And here come a million throwables right on top of Jazza. He's going to see what he can try to do, but he's probably going to be deaf and blind for the next 5 years.
Give it to us, Tig.
No.
Give it to us, Tig. Give us the disrespect. I also see the pan. Do it. 9 kills. Make it 10. Go on the hunt. Give us a pan kill for the victory. Finish it off with style. They're dancing around inside the smokes. They try to spot it out. Mime does go down. Jazz is fighting unfairly with a gun right now. Tig's trying to get a little bit of the spray with the pistol, but he brings out the pan. Goes for the throw. It goes a little bit wide, but he's got goals. Goes back for it yet again, and Shrimsy manages to connect with the Uzi to finish this one off, as Sonics win yet again with a massive point lead over second place.
I can't believe Sonics would troll like that with about the competitive integrity.
I'm just upset about Uzi, man. I'm upset about Uzi. That was going to be a pan kill.
I wanted the pan. But look, hey, man, look. What a exclamation point to put on this grand finals that Sonics has been able to put together. Unbelievable performance. They come into the last day knowing that there are 2 teams that have a reasonable shot at catching up to them. They didn't do so well yesterday. They left the door open, but they slammed that SOB shut the second they walked into the games today. 3 wins out of 4 games. They are well deserving of this PCS3 Grand Champion.
And I love to see it for Sonics. Let's be real. Sonics is an organization that stayed around through PUBG, through thick and thin as they made their way through.
Absolutely.
And to see specifically players like Tiggleton, Mime, Shrimsy, and H-Win that have been playing across so many different teams, finding success upon success, these guys deserve it. Now, that being said, there's still new horizons for PUBG to be explored. We've got multiple events that are starting to stack up. But right now, Sonics are the kings of the castle, and they are kings with authority. Let's be honest. They were just on fire all day today.
Look, it's been a long time coming that H-Wing gets the respect that he deserves. It's been a long time coming that Shrimsy gets the respect that he deserves. Tig has been at the top of his game since he walked in the door, and everybody has known it. And Mime has just added the perfect amount of just clutch play and great teammate and great sportsmanship, everything that they needed. Sonics are the complete package. It's a fantastic thing to watch.
And just thank you to all the teams that played right now. Every single point we saw teams, sure they weren't winning, constantly making the game just with play upon play today. So, well, yes, we do have our winners. Everybody that played today should be ridiculously proud. We're going to go ahead and throw it over to the analyst desk. That's Poro beside me. I'm Matchroom, and we're going to go ahead and throw it over towards Toffees, Godspeed, and Hypoc. You guys close us out.
Thank you so much, guys. Congratulations to Sonics as they put the cherry on top of their victory with another big win. That's it for PCS3. But if you are looking to get another competitive fix, your last competitive PUBG fix of 2020, well, then sign up for the DreamHack PUBG Showdown and get your chance to compete with the top talent in North America and Latin America. To register, check out DreamHack.com/PUBG. Qualifiers start on November 28th, so register soon. Gentlemen, the Sonics have done it The guys gave him a shout out. I'm going to give an extra shout out here to Trey Bizzle, who has been a cheerleader for the scene for a long time. This is his team, and he's at home with his feet kicked up on the coffee table, probably having a nice glass of scotch or something like that. Happy as a clam, and deservedly so. Congratulations to everyone in the Sonics organization. What a game. Godspeed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm shocked they were able to close it out in the end. I mean, their lead was not that large, and they were able to do it. It's honestly the craziest thing to me in that last game was not the fact that Sonics won again. It was really Gas Cans and Oath, man. It was so very close, and I'm sure Oath is disappointed not getting at least second, but at the very same time, I think Oath has shown us a tremendous amount of growth during this grand finals and even the group stage, and I think Oath is absolutely one of our best representatives alongside a team like Sonics or SDK in international events. So, international? What did I just say? International events.
I don't care if it's international or intervational. I'm excited to see them
but I think
hopefully represent us internationally.
And Gas Cans. I mean, they were also out of control good. I mean, it was a great grand finals overall.
All right, Hypoc, take us into the highlights.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo exactly what Godspeed said, we've had definitely the best, I guess, culmination here in PCS3 of some of the best action we've seen in North America, and these are names that have been kind of at the top the whole time, aside from Gas Cans. But wow, just watching them throughout PCS3 has been fantastic. This felt like a Game 6 scrims. I know it ended in a very similar fashion, but it was madness. Absolute heartbreak for the Oath guys. This is the moment things kind of fell apart for them. Reload made a mad dash for Grandma's house down outside Pachinki, but just couldn't get inside the door. Again, they needed 4 points just to tie up, and it's heartbreaking.
It is. At the same time, I mean, again, I think Oath can still hang their heads up high. They played a hell of a lot of PUBG, great games of PUBG, and I'm really excited for that roster moving forward, man. I think Pat was a phenomenal addition to that team, and I only think they're going to get better. So, well done to Oath, and again, well done to Gas Cans, who really, I don't want to say they came out of nowhere, but the level of play that we witnessed from these guys throughout the entire event, that was an awful pan, by the way, Tig. Level the level of play that we saw from the Gas Cans was truly something special. Honestly, I think it was something special. They just ripped through so many teams that arguably we would have thought before the grand finals they shouldn't have, and they just continued the pressure, man. So well done to them as well.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard from that match so we can see yet again how the Sonics know how to dominate. We'll pull that up in just a second for you guys to take a look at. As they come out with not only a big win, but another big kill count. Also worth noting, any trolls in the chat they started this game below Veritas and had to pass them for a little extra payout on the day, and managed to do it by, I think, 2 points in the end. So them having a big game was a big deal for them.
Yeah, it was. And again, it's always nice to talk about some of these other battles further down. Some of these placements, a difference between, $4,000 as well. So it's definitely not all about the top three, even though, the glory is there. It's as well, though, just to say, if Sonics didn't earn the win of this phase before today, winning 3 games on the day is definitely a way to prove that, yesterday was a blip.
I really want to talk about Duel as well, because although they didn't, they kind of had a poor day, at the same time, I finally think this team showed up and gave us what we've been asking for all freaking year. I mean, we've known Wooly and Penta and Lynxy and Cherry. Man, Cherry had some sick clutches, but we really didn't see what we wanted to. And I think with the roster change and everything going on, this was the version of Duel that I feel confident about going forward, that's really going to show us what their true capabilities are and where their ceiling is. And so I'm happy for Duel. They placed very well. There's definitely some teams that I was disappointed in. I don't really want to call anyone out. Just it's been a hell of a grand finals, and I'm just happy for the teams that were able to show up.
All right, let's go through the kill leaders and the damage leaders for that match real quick, because I know we all want to get to the leaderboard and the champions shortly, but we don't want to give everyone their due, and that is ATC coming out on top, Hypoc, with a 4-4. I don't want to say it's about time, but it's about time.
Yeah, it is about time. Again, some familiar faces here. Just shout out to Marcelek as well, by the way. He's been a huge name.
Yeah.
Coming into North America this year. And again, ATC this time around, not so much continuing the trend as earlier on, but these guys have been up there, they've been active, and it's been fantastic. It's always good to see new names for the region. Obviously, these guys have come from EU. It's always good to see new names to the region come in and put on a show.
Let's go over to damage. And
let's go into damage indeed. Chubba.
there you go.
It's a good look. That's a nice beard, Chubba. Well done, dude.
That's
well
a Godspeed standard.
That is quite nice. Mime as well making his way up here. Not surprised. Marcelik once again. Hwin and Michael. Man, Michael's that's a good looking player right there. Michael has been interesting in the sense that Veritas, I had really high hopes for Veritas coming in, especially with their blast performance in the beginning. But overall, for a lot of the teams that maybe didn't perform as well as they wanted to, I will also say that it could also be just a learning experience going through these grand finals. I hope a lot of these rosters do end up staying together, especially the ones that showed promise, and carry that into, whatever comes next.
Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard. Let's see who is the champions. It is the Sonics.
Oh my God. No, I'm joking.
Shocking, right? But I will say this. They did it with a statement, okay? We were like, well, it's only 20 coming into today. There's a chance the gas cans and Oath catch them. And the Sonics was like, hold my beer, and comes out at 265. Like, that is a resounding way to win a tournament, Godspeed.
It's a statement for sure, and they've honestly earned it. Like, I don't really know what else there is to say about the Sonics.
115 placement points.
That's crazy.
Like, that's actually, like, madness.
Not only did they have the most placement points, but they also had the most kills. And I know that seems kind of obvious, but there's a lot of teams that will generally win with one or the other, not both. And that's what, to me, is so impressive about the Sonics.
I mean, let's call a spade a spade. They got more kill points than sixth place got total points.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yes, exactly. They came out and they put up work. That said, Guadalajara Gas Cans, a team that wasn't even necessarily on everyone's radar or anyone's radar for a lot of people, gets 138 kills, 66 placement, 204 total. That's absolutely incredible in my opinion. I think we've watched the Sonics progression. We've watched the Oaths progression.
Do you know what? That's also a testament to what I was talking about earlier. For a team to make a statement before the grand final start, which is we're going to switch things up and we're going to do things that teams aren't expecting us to do. Yep. To come out here and see them with 138 kill points, it kind of solidifies that they had a game plan. They came out, they executed it, and they've done really bloody well for themselves.
Yeah, let us not forget, Godspeed, Guadalajara Gas Cans finished in 11th place during the qualifiers with 177 points. The Sonics finished with 307 in the qualifiers. So the Guadalajara Gas Cans weren't even in the same talking space as the Sonics 3 weeks ago.
I mean, they were a team that even I thought, I was like, yeah, they can come in and probably do some damage, but, they're way too risky. Their play style is too aggressive. They might bite off more than they can chew. And I was completely wrong. I think most people were in that sense that they not only took it to most teams, but they came out on top in a lot of those fights too. I mean, which again says everything with their kill count, 138 kills. I mean, that's pretty maddening. And whew, Tig.
Big Tig.
Barely edging out Honey Badger. Regardless, Honey Badger, man, what a hell of a grand finals, man. Well done. I really have nothing else to say to you other than what a hell of a
look at the gap.
Yeah.
Look at the gap as well. That's the other thing to consider. The fact that Honey Badger has kind of kept pace, it's just absolutely nuts to see.
It is. I think it speaks to his trajectory as a player, and I'm excited to see where Badger goes from here. I think he'll stay with the team, but I think just shows huge upside.
Listen, I'm going to be completely honest as well and call myself out. I was questioning the decision to put Honey Badger on wildcard before that switch happened. I was like, I don't know if he really belongs there. I don't know what he's done to warrant like him going on such a big team. Obviously, he had to deal with the issue of playing on a team with superstars like that in the sense of our scene, players that are seasoned. They're very good. They're some of the best players we've had. And he didn't do well. And so after that, I was like, maybe he'll find something working somewhere else. He kind of did, but I was wrong. Honey Badger has really shown himself to be a force to be reckoned with in the scene, and it's been great to watch.
Let's take a look at the damage leaders. Tiggleton does have a pretty significant damage advantage, though, Hypoc.
Yeah, it is, and to be honest with the rest of this top five, it's the usual suspects, really. No real surprises here with some of the guys that have remained prominent throughout all of these games. We know how talented these guys are. It's still good to see Luke 12 represented in the top five, where SDK represented in the top five. Again, that's a testament for them to have such a rough phase that he's still outputting as much as he is.
I will say this. This is a big day for Honey Badger. I've heard of him, but honestly, in PUBG, I still chalked up the word Honey Badgers to a 4-man grenade by a man named Wick once upon a time. That has been replaced in my brain with the Honey Badger becoming an absolute freaking legend with his performance in this tournament. Nox, Taggleton at 49, Luke 12, not too shabby, 45. We haven't sung a lot of praises for him as often as we used to in this series, but he's been up there putting in work.
I mean, yeah, of course he still put in work. It's just kind of the whole atmosphere of STK had a really disappointing grand finals. There's no way around it. I'm sure they will tell you the same thing. It wasn't the showing we wanted from STK or the one they wanted to show us, and that's, it is what it is. I just hope that, and I'm sure they'll probably come back strong next time. So
let's look at the assists. Let's see who the helpers are.
Same.
Again, shocking. I can't quite believe it. Yeah, it's, again, not much really to touch on this one. These are the faces that have kind of dominated the other categories, and I mean, the only real switch up is Snakers and Kickstart making an appearance here.
I will say this. This is what speaks to the value of me as Taggleton. Taggleton is #1 in kills. He's top in damage, and he's up there in assists, right? That's the thing about Big Tig, is he is the full package, and I got to give him that.
Yeah, the man's throwing up his own alley-oops, you know what I mean? Hitting the backboard, just going right in for the slam dunk. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but Tig's just nuts.
Got to respect it. Well, you know what? We talk about Tig is nuts. Let's talk about a team that deserves their due. We talked about the best performing individuals. Let's get one last big shout out to the grand champions. Your grand champions of PCS3 North America. H-Win, Mime, Shrimzy, Taggleton. It's the Sonics, and it would be hard to argue Hypoc in any way, shape, or form that this was not their championship. Back to back, babe.
Absolutely not. Back to back, it's always great to see. Shout out to Silogic as well. He's the 5th man behind this team. He's the coach, working in the background. Just a quick note, Sonics actually won PCS2 with 265 points as well. So if you want to talk consistency and maintaining, there's a little stat line for you.
This is the plan the whole time.
That's why they were doing the pan stuff. They were like, hey,
that's why they threw yesterday, right? They just wanted to hit 265, right?
Whoa, we're gonna pass 265, boys. Slow it down.
Slow it down. Ease off.
Well, gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the show. It has been a heck of a 3 weeks and more if you count the group stage. It's been a blast to have you. We're getting ready for international showdowns, the DreamHack thing coming up, teams going into the future of PUBG. It seems pretty bright. Let's get some final thoughts from you guys as to what you're looking forward to out of the teams that we saw here competing today. I'm going to start off with you, Godspeed, and then move over to you, Hypoc.
I can't wait for international events. Honestly, I think our scene as far as North America has leveled up quite a bit, especially leading up to PCS3. I really want to see not only how we will do, but I just love international play. I love when the best around the world get together to showcase, what they're best at, and that's super exciting for me, man. I love international events, and I can't wait.
I'm excited. Hypoc?
Yeah, really excited, obviously, with the announcement today. Things to look forward to. A couple of names that, hopefully we can see put some work in and represent NA well at an international level. Just again, congratulations to Sonics back to back. Shout out to Tribizzle. We already said he's watching at home in his pajamas. I think there's a little bit of an office party going on, but huge shout out to PUBG Core as well. 2020 has been a rough year. It's been an absolute privilege to be a part of PCS alongside everyone on the talent and the production team. I just want to say a special thank you to all the players and teams as well that have put on a show for us, because it has been a fantastic year of PUBG in North America. And also everyone that's kind of tuned in and joined us on the journey through 2020, because I think this is, arguably we've kind of matched MPL, and that's a real testament to what's gone on.
Absolutely. All right, guys, don't forget, tune in to watch day 5 over in the APAC. That'll be starting on tomorrow at 2 a.m. PST. So get up early and have some fun. And then, of course, Europe will be kicking off after that. So the weekend is not over. 2 more days of awesome PUBG to see who the best of the best is. It's going to be a very good time. But you've heard us tiptoeing around it all day today. Let's just cut right to the chase. Before we say goodbye, we have one last thing we want to share with you officially. We want you to see it. Check this out. I'm excited.
left as mid will finally be dropped.
Your PUBG Global Invitational 2018 Grand Champions.
He'll look up and he'll knock him down. Your 2019 PGC champion.
Let's be real, and I think Hypox said it earlier. 2020 has been a rough year for all of us, but we're hoping this news that you just saw is going to cheer you up, PUBG fans. After the success of our 2018 PGI and the 2019 PGC, PUBG is proud to announce the PUBG Global Invitational S to be held in Korea starting on February 2021. If you guys want more information, head over to na.pubgesports.com to see everything you need to see, the format, the information, but maybe not the teams just yet. We're going to keep tuned for that. So stick around. We've got all kinds of good stuff for you. It has been a wonderful day. And normally I just sign off on behalf of everybody, but because it's the final day, let's do it a little bit different. Let's go down the line and give you guys a chance to say a little something to the audience at home or your family or really whoever you want to. I'll start with you, Hypoc. It's sign out time.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of echo my sentiments from earlier, I can't wait to see another global event. The announcements got me definitely pumped for, looking forward to 2021. There are a lot of unknowns in this year, thanks to obviously the global situation. But no, it's really good to have something to look forward to at the end of the year.
Godspeed.
I just want to say that I'm super humbled to be chosen to be amongst the talent here on the desk with you, as well as Clover, as well as Cammy, Poro, and Matt. The fans have been incredible, and PUBG has been great putting their faith in me. I hope, we all did a great job, and I couldn't be more excited for what's to come next. It's been honestly a true pleasure working with you guys and working for the community. So thank you to the players, as Pac said, the teams, all the fans. Thank you guys, PUBG Corp. You guys have been great to me. Appreciate it.
Well, that's it from us, guys. It has been an awesome time. We know that you have places you can be in, options, and choosing your time to spend here means the world to us. The holidays are just around the corner. I encourage everyone to stay safe, stay healthy, but spend some time with those that you love, whether it's digitally or in person. We appreciate you spending time here, and we love you for it. On behalf of myself, Godspeed, Hypoc, Matrim and Porosaurus, and of course, Cameron and Clover, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we cannot wait to see you again. But until we do, play more PUBG.